What's up, my good people of the internet? Dan Tortora here, hanging out with you. Appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, hanging out with us where sports meets life. We got a lot of great stuff coming up here for you today. You know, we start off our Mondays on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We start off the week with DT and Murphy on your Mondays. So when people say, man, I can't stand Mondays, I got to get up, I got to go to work, I got to do all this stuff. Do people even have that anymore, though, right? I mean, do people not work on the weekends? You know, there's a bunch of people that work on the weekends, but Monday used to get such a bad rap, right? I don't want to get up on Monday. I have school on Monday. I got work on Monday. So we try to, and I think we have, for many, many years, given you that consistency, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and when we do special things on the weekends as well, that I'm not going to let you stay down, okay? You got to go with me. You got to work with me here. But here on the show, we like to laugh. We like to learn. We like to think through things and have deep conversations, important conversations, fun conversations that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, we can help that day get a little bit better. So, Mondays, DT and Murphy. That's how we start off the week on Wake Up Call inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. MonPaz got a ton of awesome stuff going on, and they have a wonderful voting thing going on right now. They're trying to figure out what their next flavor is going to be. So I went there and taste tested each of them. You can go watch my video on all of our social media as well as on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. I tried the 3 flavors that are the choice that you must make: bourbon kettle, raspberry chipotle, and blue cheese. Whichever one you like the most when you go into 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, you say to the workers, the wonderful team at MonPaz, you say, hey, I've tried them all. I like this one. And they will put another vote in for that. At the end of the voting here, whichever the community has chosen the most of will be the new family member of the popcorn kettle corn family at MonPaz. So if you want to be a part of what the next one's going to be, that next flavor is going to be, jump into it and be a part of it. I remember as a kid, they were like, what color M&M is going to be the one that wins it? And you wanted to be a part of it. Now at MonPaz, you get to be a part of something local, something that is so cool, something that you could go in and see all the time and say, hey, I helped vote for that flavor to get in. So make sure you go over to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, like many of you have, and try these awesome flavors. Vote on which one is your favorite, and we'll see who wins. I can tell you that the one I voted for was in the lead the last time I was there, so we will see if that one ends up winning. Really excited about it, and I always have fun at MonPaz, so big shout out to them. With that being said, Murph is here with me for DT and Murphy. Brendan Murphy. We're going to be talking about the Ravens and the Chiefs, the Niners and the Lions, and what's coming up in this NFL championship game in a couple weeks. We've had football for many, many months. Now we're going to have a thing that isn't really football, but it's connected to football. It's called the Pro Bowl. And then we're going to get into the football side of things. I had some Pro Bowl thoughts, some things that I think they should do. I like getting the teams together. I like the community event and the fan event. I like a lot of things that can go with it. But the game itself seems to fall on deaf ears, so we're going to talk about that a little bit too, and we'll get into that championship game and what's going on. We'll also talk about the NFL coaching changes and some collegiate changes. Jim Harbaugh, that I told you if he was going to leave Michigan, I only saw it happening. If he didn't leave this year, I didn't think it was going to go. I didn't think it was going to happen. And he did leave this year, and he went to the team I predicted, the Los Angeles Chargers. I thought Bill Belichick would be with the Atlanta Falcons in that case. That did not happen. Raheem Morris is there, and Bill Bellies is going to maybe, I don't know, I was going to say maybe he'll commentate, maybe he'll be an analyst, but he doesn't. I mean, I don't know if I want to see that on television. It's hard. It's really difficult. Like, it's nothing against Bill. He's a good coach, right? From what we know, but he doesn't open his mouth when he talks. And I just feel like as someone who talks for a living, I'd want to take him aside and be like, we need to open it. We need to open the mouth. We need to do some practice exercises. So we'll talk about the NFL and the coaching moves and some coaching stuff in college. We'll get into the Hall of Fame has 3 inductees for 2024. There's a voting process, and only 3 of them reached the amount of votes that they needed. So we got 3 new guys going into the Cooperstown Hall of Fame that's very close to where I grew up. And then we'll get into GG cards and breaks, some sports card stuff. Murph decided to sell his entire table a week before our show in Philly, and we'll discuss exactly what that means for his collection. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. Murph is picture in picture. Mr. Murphy, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Still a little bummed about the Ravens last night. I think most of America was rooting for the Ravens, but I'm bummed about the Lions too. Once the Chiefs won, I was really rooting for the Lions,
Yeah.
and yeah, they choked.
Yeah, I mean, listen, being up at one point, what, 21-7? I mean, this Lions team, it's one of those things where you really can't. And I've learned this in sports is like I can't be like, okay, they're up, and you start planning out the show. And my buddy's a big Lions fan. Shout out to Johnny here in Central New York. And so I was thinking in my head, I'm like, well, can I say this out loud? I said something to my dad. Should I have said something out loud during the game? Because I was like, oh, I want to get him on the show and I want to have him talk about, this experience. And he's never seen them go to it. So if they are, the winners of this game, then I want to involve him in the show somehow. And then, like, you think about that. And as soon as you, like, say it out loud or even think it, now you're thinking, uh-oh, what happened? Are they going to lose the game? And I was kind of paying attention to some things going on because I was at a little get together last night. So when I left that, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me hop in the car. Let me see what's going on. And here the score had flipped. Right? You get to 24 points. Then all of a sudden, 27 points for San Fran. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, are you kidding me? Is this really where things are going to be going right now? Are we really in a place where this team is going to lose this game that they've seemingly, had I don't want to say control over, but had a lead, a healthy lead. So, but it happened. I mean, they end up falling in this matchup, and it's sad how it happens. I feel bad for Lions fans. But here we are again with Chiefs Niners. It's the second time in 5 years that we're going to see this happen. And I think that I think Niners fans are happy. I think Chiefs fans are happy. I think the rest of the NFL fans are bored. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment that the NFL fans are bored about this. I mean, the NFL logo conspiracy theory, the Super Bowl logo conspiracy theory is now debunked
Which I'm happy
because
about.
the Ravens lost.
Yeah.
So I think the NFL, me especially, was rooting for that because of what the logo looks like next year. There's green on the bottom. So if it was Ravens Niners and the Ravens won, I was gonna put money on Jets as as a actual result of the Super Bowl next year, Jets Vikings, with the Jets winning. I know that wouldn't be the only scenario. It could have been, Ravens Packers, Eagles Vikings, but even still, I would have gone and put money on, even if it was just $5 on the actual result being Jets Vikings with the Jets winning.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, this is becoming, I don't want to say it's worse than Brady with the Patriots, but it's pretty close with Mahomes right now. Everybody in America at first was like, all right, Mahomes, great player. Love to see him win the Super Bowl. He does it in the first one against San Francisco in Super Bowl 54. He loses to Brady the following year. He loses to Burrow in the AFC Championship game the year after that. He beats Burrow in a rematch the year after to get to the Super Bowl, and then they win last year against the Eagles. And now they beat the Ravens, who, and we'll get more into this in a minute. I don't think the Chiefs won that game. I think the Ravens lost that game. But we'll get more into that in here in a couple of minutes. But America just doesn't want to see the Chiefs. The Super Bowl America wanted to see was Lions Ravens. But no. Taylor Swift has to go to the Super Bowl. So they changed the script mid-season when we found out that Travis Kelce was dating Taylor Swift, and now all of a sudden, hey, They have to go to the Super Bowl. They have to win the Super Bowl. You know, if they win the Super Bowl, there's going to be some sort of Kelsey Taylor Swift moment down on the field, and America is just going to want to puke when they see that. All the Swifties might not, and Swifties come after me. I don't care. I don't want to see her anymore. She can do her music thing. She's I don't particularly care for her music, but I'm not going to badmouth her music because her music's still pretty good, right? But I'm sick to death of seeing her on the NFL broadcast every single time the Chiefs play. Every week.
Yeah.
I mean, literally makes me want to puke. I'm in a bar yesterday. We're watching the Chiefs Ravens game. I only stayed till maybe just after halftime. I just wanted wings and a couple of beers, so I went and got that after that card show I was at yesterday. But ultimately, we see her come up on the screen. It was just before halftime, I'm pretty sure it was, and then two or three of us in the bar were like, "Oh my God, get her off the screen!" Like, it's getting ridiculous.
Well, and I think
But yeah,
people are, and it's funny because some people were like, the game was on for 3 hours and 25 minutes, and she was on screen for 27 seconds. Get over yourself, because there was 3 hours of not seeing her on the screen. And it's like, yeah, but nobody else's wife or girlfriend is seen on the screen. Nobody else's wife or girlfriend is involved. Haley Steinfeld allegedly said she didn't want to be on the screen at the Buffalo Bills games dating Josh Allen because she wanted it to be his thing and it's his moment and it's not about her. So, I mean, the last time that I could say that we saw somebody a lot was Jessica Simpson when she dated Tony Romo. And the funny thing is, fans lost their minds over that. They're like, oh, well, if she wasn't dating Tony Romo, he wouldn't suck so bad. Since they started dating, look at all the problems he's had. Since they started dating and went on vacation before the playoff game to Mexico, they lost. It's probably Jessica's fault. So, but you don't hear that with Taylor. You don't hear any of that with Taylor.
because it's different.
What you hear with Taylor,
Because it's Taylor Swift.
but the thing is like this, and I will tell people this. There are music performers that I enjoy. There are sports players that I have, and big fans of Fred Taylor, Damon Stoudemire, Randy Johnson, so on and so forth. There is a difference between I like them, I appreciate them, I'd love to meet them, and I'm idolizing them, and I'm worshiping them. When you worship something, you idolize something, just so people know, in the Bible, that's not good. So I would say to people out there, be it Taylor Swift or anything, do not idolize or worship a person, place, or thing other than God. You can like
Correct.
it, you can enjoy it, but idolatry is a bad thing. And I think now we're seeing this war of people that never watched football that love Taylor Swift going, let her be on screen, screw you. And then people saying,
It's all the Swifties.
right, and then football,
All the girls.
the football fans that are saying like, hey man, this isn't normal. So it's this back and forth between the two. My whole thing is, does it bring more people to football? Sure. But this is what I said. This is how you even the score. This is how you make it right. It's simple. When you go to a Taylor Swift concert, which I think she goes on tour in February, when you go to her concert, because I have no problem with Taylor Swift. I liked her when she was country. People forget she was country before she was pop.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked her with country. I liked her with pop. So Swiftie fans, hey, I do a broadcast 2 mics, no filter with a giant Taylor Swift fan in Miss Andrea Smith. So when we have her on concert, when we see her in February touring the world, this is how you make it even. In the middle of her show, for no apparent reason, as she's singing,
Show Travis Kelce.
you cut away to the screens, and not just Kelce. You show Travis Kelce, a Chiefs montage, and what I really, really want to see to make this right, you see Andy Reid wearing the exact same dress that she's wearing on stage, in the bathing suit she's got on, and he's just eating cookies, and he turns on the screen.
I think you mean eating cheeseburgers.
Yeah, anything he wants, and he turns and he looks at Taylor and he turns perfectly to where she is on stage, and he goes, "Oh, keep going, Taylor. You're doing a great job." That's all I want. I want Andy.
Oh, that'd be great.
I want Andy.
I would
Reid,
pay to see that.
But that's the
I
thing.
would pay to see that.
But this is how you make it right. This is how you make it even. You go to because if the Taylor Swift fans are saying to the NFL, "Get over it. It's only a few seconds," then I would say what's fair is fair, what's right is right, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if it's only a few seconds of your time interrupting the game, then it's only a few seconds of your time interrupting the concert.
Yeah, I think that would be hysterical, and I'd pay to see that.
I will help produce it.
It'll never happen though. But Travis, I'm willing to bet after the Super Bowl, win or lose, he'll go over with her on tour if this. But there's also speculation that this whole relationship thing isn't real.
I don't think it is.
I don't know.
I don't think it is.
I mean, you've seen them sometimes where it looks genuine. Like you've seen stuff like backstage at some of her shows that he's been able to go to, and she'll go running to him and jump in his arms and whatever after the show, and you're like, I mean, it's tough to fake that. I mean, is it real? Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, there's people speculating that if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, he's going to get a ring, he's going to get down on one knee, and he's going to propose to her at the Super Bowl.
This isn't real.
And
it's not real.
I don't know.
It's not real. Okay.
But you also know damn well that if it doesn't work out, Taylor Swift fans are going to boycott the NFL, and they're going to ruin Travis Kelce.
And guess what? If Taylor Swift fans boycott the NFL,
that's fine.
Nothing's going to change.
Nothing's going to change.
Because they don't care.
See, I wouldn't want to be you.
They didn't watch it anyways. Some of them might.
They don't even understand the game.
No, some of them might. Some of them might. Andrea might, because Andrea's a Jags fan. So she might continue. But what I'm saying is, if you lose the fans you never had, you didn't lose anything. It's a temporary thing. That's why I think the relationship's a publicity stunt. I don't know what Travis Kelce gains from this. I don't know what Taylor Swift gains from this. I don't know why it happened. I hope that it's real. I hope that it's love, because I will always hope for love above everything.
Well,
so
I know there was real.
I hope that it's love. I hope it's going to happen. I hope that this thing is an actual relationship. But folks, I don't buy it yet. And listen, I don't have to. But we also know that Hollywood things don't always last. And I just don't see this as being a real thing. I also don't want to listen to a Taylor song about how Travis Kelce's a jerk. I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah, because I don't think it would be accurate. I mean, the thing is, it comes across my TikTok all the time, and I scroll past it. But there's so freaking many that sometimes I'll end up looking at one, and there'll be some Taylor Swift fan talking about, like how happy she is, and like there's never been a guy that's made her as happy as Travis Kelce has. But you remember the thing over the summer when she performed at Arrowhead, that Travis Kelce, did kind of have a little bit of a crush on her, and I guess gave her something with his number on it or something like that, trying to trying to rizz up Taylor Swift, and I guess in the long run it worked. So yeah, I mean, I also don't necessarily think she'd be traveling like this, even in the middle of her tour, just to go to those games.
Well, but think about it.
If it wasn't real.
Her tour allegedly starts on February 11th. Or pardon me, her tour starts right around...
In Japan.
Right. But think
She'd
about
be the last show, and again, only reason I know this is because it keeps freaking coming across my TikTok feed.
But you think
she's got 4 shows in Tokyo on the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yeah.
The shows start at like 6 o'clock. They'll be done by... You figure she leaves Tokyo by midnight. By midnight on the 11th. She'll be in Vegas by like 8 or 9 o'clock on the 10th.
But this is how...
Yes, that would mean she's technically going back in time, folks.
But this is the thing that I'm looking at. Her tour starts right around NFL Championship Sunday. So she has for months now been connected to the NFL, hasn't had to do a single promo for her tour.
Uh,
So she's,
she was in Argentina. She was in South America only like 2 months ago.
but when you look at this, it's her tour in February starts. She's had all this free publicity, and it's going to run right into her back on tour. So, if for nothing else, it was a smart publicity move for Taylor, I guess. To me, it's like, what does it matter? Who cares? Like, of course, I want my girlfriend to be at the game. I want my girlfriend to be there. I want to be covering a Lemoyne game and have my girlfriend sit next to me saying, "Babe, I'm so proud of you." I want that. I don't want a camera on her 50 times a game, or 5 times, whatever it may be. But the reality of it all is, whether you like it or not, folks, it's happening. Whether you like it or not, the Chiefs Niners are happening. Whether you can stand it or not, the Chiefs have become a dynasty, and my argument for it is something that I was talking about yesterday on the phone. And
Thank you for changing the topic, by the way.
Murph brought it up again.
I can't believe we just talked about that for 15 minutes.
That's why I was trying to pull it away. So the give them a little bit and then take it. But no, I mean, here's the thing. When you look at, and you brought it up, and like I said, I had this conversation yesterday separately. When you look at the Chiefs, they started being that team that people felt great about. They loved Pat Mahomes. They were happy for Andy Reid because, he was unceremoniously let go from Philadelphia, just kind of parted ways with Philadelphia. He ends up in Kansas City. He gets Patty Mahomes. They got Tyreek Hill. They got Travis Kelce. They did all this stuff over the years. People got really excited. They win a championship, and people are like, oh my goodness, the Chiefs, a team that was 2 wins just a few years ago, wins a championship. Look at what the Chiefs are doing. By the way, for those of you in the feed, we'll get to some of your questions. So we see all of this stuff going on, and people get excited. You're not a Chiefs fan, but you're cheering for the Chiefs. You're cheering for Pat Mahomes. You're cheering for Andy Reid. Philadelphia Eagles fans are happy for Andy Reid. All this great stuff is happening. Now, you see the commercials, and Kelsey's on all the stuff, and Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, and they make it, and what are people doing? People are complaining. Now, I said that they've won 2 with Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes. I said if they win another one, we got to talk about dynasty. I think we have to talk about dynasty now because they have essentially become that new team that is hated. It was the Patriots, but now when the Chiefs make it, there's a grunt across the world of, again, Pat Mahomes did it again. This offense couldn't figure it out, but they figured it out in the playoffs.
That's how most of America felt yesterday.
But that is why I'm saying, even before another championship, we have to start talking about they are a dynasty now because they have the hate, which the Patriots had the wins, they had the coaching, they had the hate. And that is what we're seeing now. This is not a championship game where people are going in that are not Chiefs fans going, yeah, Pat Mahomes. They're going in there going, oh, Pat Mahomes again. And so now you're starting to feel this. So I think that we might be ahead of schedule that the Chiefs are in dynasty mode because people are fatigued of watching the Chiefs. And I don't like that for the Chiefs, and I feel bad about that. I mean, I remember when the San Antonio Spurs kept going to the NBA Finals, they were called the most boring team in America. And I said, well, I'll be a boring team if I get to play for a championship every year. But the Chiefs, once again, this was the year people thought they're not going to make it. Last year, they're not going to make it. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. The last few years, people have been expecting them to not get there. But now here they are again. And now you can almost feel and hear the grunt.
And they were tested, too. They had to go on the road.
Right. So the ripple effect now is that I think the Chiefs are already in the dynasty mode because I think the Chiefs have taken the place of the Patriots as the team that people don't want to see in the championship game, don't want to hear about, and they get annoyed when they come back. I don't think that you're necessarily a Bills fan, necessarily a Jaguars fan, necessarily a Ravens fan to be at a point right now where you're sick of the Chiefs. So Chiefs, congratulations. If people hate to see you win, you're kind of in dynasty mode.
Yeah. But if you look at it this way, and let's just say for argument's sake the Chiefs win, which to be honest I think they're going to. But we'll get more into that in a little bit later. I mean, yeah, spoiler alert, that's kind of my Super Bowl pick. Not a very popular one, but I also see if they win, that's his third ring
Yeah.
at 28 years old.
Yeah.
He is right on pace with Brady. Like, scary similar.
Yeah.
So you look at it that way and you see Mahomes and Brady's numbers in the playoffs. They are eerily similar. I mean, they've been talking for a couple of years now about, Mahomes being the next Brady. And realistically, we didn't think there was going to be another Brady. I don't think anybody thought it was possible to go win 7 Super Bowls, more than any team in history has ever won.
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes is also one of the most talented players to ever play the position. He is what Tom Brady would have been if he had Aaron Rodgers' talent. And I think if Tom Brady had Aaron Rodgers' talent, Tom Brady would have won 10 Super Bowls. And because a couple of those Super Bowls, especially the ones he lost to the Giants and then the one that he lost to the Eagles, if he had as great a player as he was and as great a thrower as he was, he's not mobile. Like, he can't make something happen if it's 3rd and 5 and you got pressure, the pocket's collapsing, and he didn't have the speed to get around some of these guys. Mahomes does. Right? Like, Mahomes could literally be a running style quarterback if he really wanted to be. Right? Is he as fast as Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? No, but he's still got enough speed that he could go out there and legitimately have designed runs. But they don't have that. He scrambles when he needs to. He's got more first down scrambles than any quarterback in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be shocked if it's one of the best seasons of all time in that regard. But that offense, other than Mahomes and Kelsey, and Pacheco to a point, was abysmal this year. The line was okay, but the receivers were terrible. Rashee Rice is the only bright spot at receiver, and I don't even think he's all that good. He was like a 2nd or 3rd round pick for them, I think, and he blossomed into a decent player, which is good for them. I mean, I guess he's their new version of Tyreek Hill, just nowhere near as fast. But that team was not built for the playoffs. But as Tom Brady and the Patriots have proven in the past, as certain Peyton Manning teams have proven in the past,
yeah,
you don't have to have the greatest offense in the world. You just need to get there and get hot. And if sports has proven anything to us, it's that the teams that get hot at the right time are going to win championships, or at least get to the championship. Philadelphia Phillies last year. Arizona Diamondbacks this year. Chiefs just did it. You had the Golden Knights in the NHL 2 years ago, I think, that rocketed their way to the finals. Miami Heat, right?
Yeah.
They were the 8th seed and made it all the way to the championship. Didn't win, but still, they made it all the way there.
Yeah.
If teams, it doesn't matter what teams are seeded. All that matters is that you get in. Clearly, that's what it is. I mean, last year, yeah, you had the 2 number 1 seeds that made the Super Bowl. You had the Eagles. You had the Chiefs and everything. But it's not the first time that we've had a quote unquote underdog team, because no one thought that the Chiefs were going to be able to get to the Super Bowl this year. But it's Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. It's what they do year in and year out.
Yeah.
And I also think it's time we start having the conversation of Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick. Because at this point, clearly we knew after Brady left that Patriots couldn't do anything. Belichick was nothing until Brady got there. And he's been nothing since Brady left.
Right.
Andy Reid took teams to Super Bowls before he got there. He went to a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah.
He was in the playoffs year in and year out with the Chiefs. With Alex Smith.
Won a bunch of games inside of the division, led the division of the NFC East a bunch of times, got to the championship game of the NFC a bunch of times.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's only got 2 rings. You make it 3 now, I think there's a conversation. But
there has to be.
Yeah.
There has to be a
I
conversation.
think it's I think if they win, honest to God, I think if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year, I think discussion's over. I think it's Reed over Belichick. And people can come after me for that because I think that's a very controversial statement. But Belichick did nothing without Brady. Reed at least won games, at least made a Super Bowl, at least had talented teams that were in the playoffs every year. Yeah. Brady's gone from New England, what, 5 years? And they've made the playoffs once, I think. And I might not even be right there. They might not have even made the playoffs. I think they might have the first year with Cam Newton. Because Mac Jones didn't really do much in his first year either. So I'm pretty sure they only made the playoffs once without Brady. They may not even made the playoffs at all. Which tells me that that team was Brady and not Belichick. Especially the fact that Brady's very first year
they didn't make
away from Belichick, they didn't make the playoffs at all.
I don't think they did, no.
Okay, even better. They have not made the playoffs a single time since Brady left.
No.
Right? They're going to have the second overall pick this year. They're second worst team in the NFL this year. And I think it's partly Belichick, but also because Belichick is your GM too. We're going to get into this later, but that's the same reason why he didn't get the job in Atlanta. Atlanta didn't want him because he wanted all the control. So they hired a guy that they could hire an actual GM and have a solid front office head coach relationship. And I think he's done. What sucks is I'm hearing freaking rumors that if the Jets don't do well this year, they're going to fire Robert Saleh and hire Bill Belichick.
No, that's not going to
happen. I would probably stop being a Jets fan if they hired Bill Belichick. He's worse than Brady.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, and it's a pipe dream for certain Jets fans. But I also think they're going to be good this year. Granted, I said that last year too, but now you have Rodgers for the entire offseason.
Yeah.
Right? You've got dead money coming off the books. You still have a lot of dead money on the books. But high draft pick to get a lineman or a wide receiver, whatever they decide to do. It's going to be one of the two. Big body tight end that could block and could, also go catch balls, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, coming back to the Reed versus Belichick thing, if they win the Super Bowl this year, I think it's over. I think Reed is the greatest coach in NFL history.
Well, I will say this. That is a topic to discuss. There is, and I do want to correct myself, in 2021, the Patriots lost in the wild card. So they made the playoffs.
So they did make it once.
Yeah, they made the playoffs once without Brady, but they have not won a playoff game without Brady.
Yeah.
In the Bill Belichick dating back to 2021.
I was gonna say I thought they made it. I thought they made it once, and I thought it was Mac Jones' rookie year.
So Belichick came to the Patriots, and I'm gonna go back and look at here. So he came to the Patriots. This is crazy looking at all this stuff of his. But if we go back and we look at when he first came to New England, so he came to New England in 2000. Had Drew Bledsoe, didn't make the postseason. In 2001, Tom Brady took over, and from then on, he had Brady all the way through. Before that, he was the Cleveland Browns head coach, and he went 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, 11-5, 5-11. He went 5-11 this season that he didn't have Brady from 2000 to 2001, and then he had all the success with Brady, and then sans Brady, he has been not that great. So, I mean, I'm looking at his record without Brady right now. 4-13 this season, 8-9 the season before, 10-7. Looking at what he's done here, Tom Brady went and won a championship. Bill Belichick has barely gotten over anything here. I mean, his record without Brady, if I'm adding this all up correctly, which I would hope that I am, I can do math. I know some people think that math can change, but it can't. So when you look at this, there's 22 wins without Brady and 29 losses. So that's what he looks like without Brady. He's 7 under 500. And
hence why he's out.
I mean, his entire career of success came with Brady. And without Brady, we haven't seen it. Andy Reid, as you were saying to your point, has had success without Pat Mahomes. He's had success with two different teams, which Bill Belichick has not. He's had success leading two different teams to the championship game, which Bill Belichick is not. He's had success with different quarterbacks under center, which Belichick is not. He's had success in different eras of football, which Belichick is not. So if he wins another one, then I think you definitely have to put him out there for one of the greatest coaches of all time in the NFL. But the whole Bill Belichick, see, this is my big thing. I don't like saying Pat Mahomes is the new Brady, Andy Reid's the new Belichick. I like saying this is what Andy Reid did, this is what Bill Belichick did. Make your choice. This is what this guy did, this is what that guy did. Because Pat Mahomes is not Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes has different talent. There's nobody like Pat Mahomes in the NFL. He could throw left-handed, he could throw right-handed, he could throw on the run, he could throw on his back foot, he could throw when he was falling.
I forgot he threw that one ball left-handed a couple of years ago.
He can do so many different things. He can run around and scramble for 10, 12 seconds and nobody's going to get him down, and then he just walks out of bounds. So, to me, he's a very different quarterback than Tom Brady. And with Tom had proven that he can win without Belichick. Belichick has not proven he can win without Brady. Andy Reid has proven that he can get to the championship game without Pat Mahomes. He's proven that he can win divisional titles and divisional round games and championship round games without Pat Mahomes. He's also proven that he can win without Tyreek Hill. So in the case of Andy Reid having different talent and still winning, different teams and still winning, there's something to be said about that. Now, would Andy Reid be where he is right now without Pat Mahomes? Probably not. So then you have the discussion of Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady. But what we can say is that Andy Reid has had different quarterbacks, different personnel, different teams, and been on both sides of the NFL, in the NFC and the AFC, and he's made it to the championship game. If they win their third this season, then without question we're talking about a dynasty. But I think we're already talking about a dynasty because of the negativity that has come from them getting there again. Now, there is a bunch of stuff that's come in here. I do want to get to your thoughts. I want to thank everybody watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You know we are worldwide, so you can catch us anywhere. And we've had people listen all over this spinning rock that we call Earth. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. And on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you've connected with the show, we appreciate you tremendously. Also, for those of you that have found us, subscribed, and followed us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube, all you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So with that being said, I want to get to some of your thoughts that have come in here. We're going to address them. So I'm going to go through what we're seeing here, and then I'm going to stop on some points here that are going to be on topic. So one thing, so that one's on the Lions, so we'll hit that in a little bit here. One's on the Baseball Hall of Fame, which we're going to hit. The NFL wants to see the Chiefs, LOL. Okay, so we can get that. Reed eating emotional support nuggies. I like it. By the way, I cannot stand the word nuggies. I don't like it.
Oh,
I cannot.
I don't either, but it's funny.
No, it's funny. I just cannot. It's one of those nails on a chalkboard words to me. So Greg said Taylor also added a lot more value to the NFL if the NFL even needed the extra $331 million. Crazy that Mahomes did it again with likely his least talented wide receiving core and an 18th graded PFF O-line in the league, but also his best defense during a Super Bowl run. This is a conversation now that we are in a situation where the last two championship games won by Tom Brady, and I say championship because technically on broadcast you're not supposed to say the SB word because the SB title is owned. So that's why I'm saying championship. So don't get it confused with the championship round. The NFL's title game, championship game, whatever you want to call it, this run that we had here, Tom Brady's last two with the Patriots and then the Bucks leaned on defense. Patty Mahomes this season getting to this one has leaned on the Chiefs defense. So we can also talk about that side of it. Brian and Stratton of Syracuse, shout out to my exclusive multimedia marketing partners. I know they're here with us. And then Greg said that Murph is crazy for picking the Andy Reid thing. And then we got another thing that said, but then
I told you it would be controversial.
And then he said, out of the other side, you're saying Mahomes better than Brady. Give me a break. And then we had from Nolan, shout out to Knowles here, 2022 wild card against the Bills. Mac Jones rookie year, they were a wild card team, so not a 5-year drought. So yeah, Noel caught that 2021-22 season. And then we got
I was going to say, I thought they made the playoffs once.
Is Belichick a coordinator was the other thing. And I say no because I don't think Belichick can.
No, he would never do that.
I don't think he can keep.
Not a chance.
How do I say this? I don't think that Belichick can keep his mouth shut on this. I don't. I feel like there's going to be a lot of overruling. Not even keep his mouth shut because he normally keeps his mouth shut. He doesn't talk with his mouth open. So, but the whole thing is, I don't see Belichick working for somebody. If you're going to go from general manager,
not a chance.
General manager and head coach to head coach is a drop. So you're going to go general manager, head coach to coordinator. You're going to give up head coach and give up GM. I don't see Bill Bellies doing that. I see Bill Belichick.
I also think he's done
going and taking over the Patriots. If Kraft steps away, I see Belichick going, you know what? I'll go die in the chair and prove that I'm better than Kraft. So we'll see if he's crafting up that plan. And we're going to talk about the Lions and the Niners. Is Dan Campbell allergic to field goals, extra points, and doing things before he has to do them? We'll talk about it right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here with us. On Mondays, as I'm hanging out with Murph on Murph Monday, with DT and Murphy starting off your week for you on Wake Up Call. Dan Campbell, is he allergic to extra points and field goals? And I don't even want to say playing it safe, but doing what the majority of the NFL is doing. I understand. I'm a guy who goes against the grain. I'm somebody who is willing to take the challenge and take the calculated risk and go after what I want. I'm not waiting for anybody else to do it. I want to be the precedent. I don't need a precedent. So that's kind of Dan Campbell. And some people like it. And some people can't stand it. Some people say, Dan, take the points. Do what you got to do early. So later on, maybe you're leading. Later on, maybe it's a 4-point deficit, not a 13-point deficit. Well, Dan Campbell, he went after it a couple times on fourth down, including in the fourth quarter on a 4th and 3, I think it was, or 4th and 4, with about, a few under 10 minutes to go. And they didn't convert the first time. They didn't convert the second time. So what are your thoughts, Murph? Is he allergic to it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? The fact that Dan Campbell, in one game earlier on this season, went for a 2-point conversion 3 times. What are your thoughts?
I think he was just being aggressive. And, that's something that he's been doing all year. Right. So, that's his MO. If they just randomly decided, hey, we're just going to go for it on fourth down rather than kicking a field goal out of the blue, then, yeah, we can maybe get on him for it. But you can't say that this is out of character. This is literally his MO. That's what they've done all year long. And the one in the fourth quarter from, I think it was like the 35-yard line or something like that, or like the 32. I don't necessarily blame him for that because it's still a long field goal. You're still talking about a 50-plus yard field goal. So I can understand it. If it was 4th and 2, okay, that makes sense. I think the one that doesn't make sense is at the very end of the game, right when they scored that last touchdown. They had to burn one of their timeouts because they decided to run it on 3rd down.
Yeah.
Right at the goal line.
Yeah.
From the 3, I think, which I think was an awful play call. If you they were at the 1-yard line before, and then they lose yardage. They lose yardage on that play and have to take a timeout. Then they end up scoring a touchdown. Don't get the onside kick. Game over. I don't think he's allergic to it. I think it's just the game plan. It's just an aggressive game plan, and you can't really get on him for that. Right? Like, look at college football. You can't tell me there's a single college football team that wouldn't go for that 4th down. Probably not. Not many of them have kickers that can kick 50, 55-yard field goals. They're all going for it there. Yes, I'm aware the NFL is different. I'm aware the kickers in the NFL are the 32 best kickers in the world. However, if you've been doing it all year, and it's worked all year, why stop now? Yeah. You can look back at these decisions in hindsight and say, yeah, it was not the right decision. And sure, should they have kicked the field goals? Yeah, probably. Maybe they would have been able to get to overtime. But at the same time, that is literally what got them there. So why would you go away from what got you there?
Yeah.
Right? The same can be said about the Baltimore Ravens not running the football almost at all against the Chiefs. They went away from their normal game plan. Their game plan all year was throw it a little bit and run the ball for the most part. They had one of the most prolific rushing offenses in the NFL this year, right? And they choose to throw the ball, however many times it was. It was a lot. And we all know Lamar can't really throw the ball that well. He's an okay passer, but he's not a great passer, right? But then you look at what the Lions did, and they at least stuck to their game plan. If I'm a Lions fan, I'm more optimistic than a Ravens fan because you stuck to your guns. You did what you've done all year long, and it didn't work out. You got beaten by a better team. And that's okay. It happens. Lions fans, I'm sure you are crushed after this. I know what it's like for your team to get to the championship game when you're not expecting them to and then lose to a very good football team. Believe me, Jets did it 2 years in a row when I was a kid. I get it. It sucks. But they'll be back. That team is still good. Dan Campbell's still a great coach. They will be back. Yeah. I can promise you that.
Well, the thing about the Lions is when we're looking at this, and like you said, I mean, this is his MO. This is what he's done. It's not like he went out of character. You watch these teams, you talk about Baltimore going out of character, other teams going out of character. When you go out of character, and this happens a lot in losses, is a team will forget who they are. They will try and be like, and we saw with the Patriots all the time. Teams would play the Patriots during the Tom Brady era. They would play the Patriots, and they would try to play the Patriots game against the Patriots and try to beat the Patriots at the Patriots game instead of playing their game against the Patriots. And it pretty much almost never worked. And in the case of some of these games that I've watched saying, okay, why are you not doing this? Why are you getting away from this? This is your MO. This is what you do. This is how you win games. I talked about it with the Bills. The Bills in the first half against the Chiefs, run the ball. It's working. It's working with Cook. It's working with Josh Allen. It's working with some other guys that are backing up and whatnot. And then in the second half, they got away from it. Josh Allen wasn't running as much. They weren't giving the ball to James Cook anywhere than up the middle. If it didn't work, then they went to something else. They were throwing instead of running the ball like they did in the first half, condensing the clock, getting into the end zone, taking time off. I tell people this all the time. I will never forget a Wake Forest game against Syracuse where Wake Forest took like 8 minutes off the clock, more than half of a quarter off the clock. And whether they scored or not in the game that they were playing, this low-scoring whatever game, they didn't have to score. If they got a field goal, great. If they got a touchdown, even better. But they also took 8 minutes off the clock. So when I look at things like, and I know you got to score on these things, what I'm saying is, if you're in a position in a game, let's say you're up 7-3 and you don't necessarily score coming down, but you take 8 minutes off the clock, you still took 8 minutes off the clock and they're still down by 4. So that's what Wake Forest did to Syracuse. They annoyed the heck out of Syracuse, and rightly so. Dave Clawson did a great job at his game planning. Baltimore getting away from running the ball against the Chiefs. The Bills getting away from running the ball against the Chiefs. Look at the pattern here. You're not running the ball against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs move on. You're not running the ball against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs move on. They've had some good moves against the run, but Baltimore stopped being Baltimore. Buffalo stopped being Buffalo, and now you guys are sitting at home. I would rather lose swinging being Dan Tortora all day, every day, than lose swinging trying to be somebody else. So in that argument, Dan Campbell lost being Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell lost swinging as Dan Campbell. And so he's going to go home. And some people might say, man, you cost us the game. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? But then other people say this thing, and they go, wait a minute. Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled the ball. Wide receivers had drops. The Brandon Ayuk catch was insane, right?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Because it could have been an interception and ends up being a catch. So when you go back and you look at these moments in a tight quarter game, they say, oh, no, it's Dan Campbell. And you turn around and say, well, Dan Campbell didn't fumble the ball. Dan Campbell didn't provide that catch that could have been an interception. Dan Campbell didn't drop any of the balls out there in the field. So we typically blame the head coach and we blame the quarterback. Somebody watches a game and says, wow, that quarterback was 20 of 40? What a terrible quarterback. 20 of 37? What a joke. But they don't take into the reality that the drops, and I think that this should be there. I'm not trying to knock any guys out there that are playing in the game, but I think it should be there. I think it should say targets, catches, drops, because you see in a statistical thing that someone was targeted 14 times and they caught 8 of them. So then with the other 6, you say, what happened? Did they drop 4? Were they thrown over this person's head? Were they thrown too far outside, or did they drop the ball? I think it should be in statistical analysis where you can read it easily on any statistical place that you go to, that it should say targets, catches, drops. because quarterbacks get blamed for all this, head coaches get blamed for all this, and the reality of the fact is the quarterbacks and the head coaches are not fumbling the balls in the field once it leaves their hands. The coach isn't doing any of this at all because they're on the sideline. But if I'm Josh Allen and I hand the ball off to James Cook and he's got the ball when I hand it to him and he fumbles 4 yards later, that's not my problem. If I fumble the snap, yeah, that's my problem. But that's on him. And we focus so much on the head coach and the quarterback and the head coach and the quarterback instead of realizing the fact there were other things that happened with Detroit. How about the defense? Why do you allow that many points? You're holding them down to 7, and then you allow them to come all the way back? What about those guys? Dan Campbell is the topic of conversation because Dan Campbell's got that big personality, because Dan Campbell doesn't mind that spotlight, because Dan Campbell's the head coach, and head coaches get more credit than some people think that they deserve sometimes, and more hate than people think should ever come to anybody. But the reality of it all is Dan Campbell doesn't play defense. Dan Campbell doesn't play offense. Dan Campbell doesn't play special teams. So did he do things that I might have questioned? Did I question the 4th and 3 call with whatever it was, 8 minutes left? Did I question it a little bit? Yeah, I did. But I also question the fact that the Lions blew a substantial lead of multiple scores down the stretch. You allowed a third quarter for San Francisco at home to get excited, their fans at home to get excited. So with all due respect, this morning, we should be talking about what happened to the Detroit Lions defense. How did they fall apart? Why did one quarter decide the game? There's so many things that we could be discussing that aren't named Dan Campbell. So I want to say on the show, whether you agree with Dan Campbell or not, and you agree with the way that he attacks games or not, the reality of the fact is this defense fell apart in a colossal way. And at one point were they up by 17? So you say to yourself, if you're up by 17 points, how in the hell does this team beat you and have some record-setting day in an NFC championship game? I want to talk about that. I want to discuss the fact that the Lions had done more than enough to win this game, and then it blew up in the third quarter.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there, and their defense is more to blame for that loss than Dan Campbell ever will be. We said Dan Campbell went down swinging, right? He did not deter from his game plan whatsoever. The same cannot be said about John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. They tried to play the Chiefs' game, and it backfired. When teams try to play their opponent's game and beat them at their own game, it doesn't go well, right? There's very few times where that idea will work. And the ones that do, great. But you don't really hear about those that much. You hear about, what a great game that team played. The ones that don't work, you hear, they deterred from their game plan. They tried to be what the other team was. That's all the Ravens did. That's what the Bills did last week. We all know the Chiefs are vulnerable against the run. That's one of their weak spots in their defense. They're great against the pass, but they're not great against the run. So why would you not run the ball against the Chiefs? I don't get that. This is why I think, and I know I said that I think the Chiefs are going to win, but this is why I think the Niners could conceivably beat them. Christian McCaffrey. They did not have Christian McCaffrey the last time these two teams played in the Super Bowl.
All right. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey could easily, single-handedly beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It could definitely happen. So, just looking at what we're going to expect, and I'm sure we're going to preview the game next week, and you will over the course of the next 2 weeks. This is going to be a better game than people think, because we all know Brock Purdy's not got the greatest arm talent in the world, right? But he's got an outstanding run game. McCaffrey can catch the ball out in space and make things happen. He's got good receivers, and he's got a good offensive line. He's the definition of a game manager. And I know he kind of proved, no, he's not a game manager. Folks, he's a game manager. He's a good game manager who can make plays to win you games, but he's not going to, for the most part, he's not going to single-handedly lose you games. And realistically, if you think about it, Tom Brady was kind of the same way. He didn't have this crazy, ability to run around in the pocket, avoid a sack, and then make a great throw like some of these other guys do. But Tom Brady is the greatest game manager to ever do it. But he had enough arm talent and enough good talent around him that he made people better. Right?
Yeah.
You want to say that Tom Brady was Tom Brady was the greatest quarterback to ever live. Right? He's not the most talented. We've had that conversation before.
Right.
But he won games
because
he knows he won games because he knew how to manage games. Yeah. Hence the term game manager.
He was playing chess, not checkers.
Exactly. And it's not like I'm trying to say that he's this, guy that just happened to win 7 Super Bowls. Yeah. Because you still have to be really good to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But Tom Brady and Brock Purdy, in a sense, early in their careers were very much alike. Because Tom Brady was pick number 199. Guy basically was not expected to be anything in the NFL. Right? Michigan didn't even want to start him his senior year. They wanted to start Drew Henson. He gets drafted by the Patriots. Belichick likes him. The team likes him. They carry him as their 4th quarterback in 2000.
Yeah.
2001, he beats out the guy they just signed to be the backup. So he's the backup quarterback. He had a better camp than Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe gets knocked out of the Jets game by Mo Lewis, and the rest is history. Tom Brady comes in the beginning of his career. Yeah, he was very much a game manager at the beginning of his career. End of his career, yeah, he'd been playing for 20 plus years, and he knew how to win football games by that point. Brock Purdy's the same thing, literally. Last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, right? Took his team to the Super Bowl in the 2nd year. We all know that the Shanahan offense is not hard to run, right? You put a decent quarterback in there with a good run game and decent weapons, they will win football games. Because their line is good, the offense is simple, and it gets guys open in space. Sure. Yeah. Sure, it helps that you have Christian McCaffrey, right? Yeah. But the Shanahan offense worked before Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was just like a bonus, right? They got Christian McCaffrey last year because it made sense. He did phenomenal for them. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs to ever do it, right? And I'll also take the credit for those people that said Leonard Fournette was going to be better. I had said McCaffrey was going to be better from day one, so I will take credit for that. But, just looking at this and looking at what the Niners have done, ultimately, the Shanahan offense revolves around the RPO, right? And running the football, short passes. That's why Purdy works for them, right? Because he's not trying to do anything. He's not trying to get cute. He throws the ball where it's designed to be thrown, and if it's not there, he'll either, throw it away or run for it. But that's what a game manager does. There's a difference between a good game manager and a bad game manager.
Yeah.
Tom Brady was a phenomenal game manager. Probably the greatest one to ever do it. Well, let me rephrase that. He was the greatest one to ever do it. Brock Purdy is a decent game manager. Right? Could be a good one. I think America wants them to win the Super Bowl. Because they don't want to see the Chiefs win again. I want them to win the Super Bowl. A lot of people want them to win the Super Bowl. But it's the game managers that try to get cute that lose. And I'm not saying Purdy's going to do that. But that the door is open, right? Yeah. He was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. Teams did not like him. The Niners only picked him last in the draft because they didn't want to risk losing him to somebody else by signing him or by letting him go undrafted and then trying to sign him.
I think they paid attention because he was a lot better statistically than people wanted to give him credit for, and he should have never been picked last.
I mean, he was a decent player in college.
Should have never been picked last. That was a steal. That was a steal. Tom Brady was a steal. Brock Purdy can run. We know that he can. He did yesterday. He ran to make sure that the Lions couldn't do anything.
Exactly.
And, Brock Purdy, and I've said this on the show many times, I don't call him Mr. Irrelevant because I think Mr. Irrelevant is a disrespectful thing. I think it starts
I know.
I think it starts off.
And you've said that before, too.
Because it starts off, it literally starts off his career going, hey, we have no faith in this guy. We have no trust in this guy. This guy's garbage. He's at the bottom of the barrel. He's a crumb on the table, but we decided to take him because we were so hungry that we ate all the crumbs. But see, here's the thing, though. When you say something like that, when you say this guy is almost trash or he is trash or he's not important, when you say that and he does what he did, now all of a sudden people are going, ooh, who's the next Mr. Irrelevant going to be? Now people might pay attention to the draft at the end of the draft. They might pay attention to day 3 a little bit more because of the fact that they want to know who's the next guy that's going to come up and do something. Who's the next guy that's going to make it happen? Tom Brady was a backup in Michigan. Tom Brady, by the way, that Michigan team got beat by Syracuse. So when you go back and you look at...
That's a great shameless plug.
Thank you. I love it. It's my hometown. What's up? So, but the reality is that... Can't help myself. No, the reality is with Brady, he wasn't the highly touted guy. Brock Purdy's not the highly touted guy. I'm not comparing them to each other and saying that they're the same type of player. I'm saying here's
in the
Brock
beginning
Purdy.
They were.
What'd you say?
I think it's perfectly reasonable to compare the two
at
the beginning of their careers.
Right. What I'm saying is I'm not saying that Brock Purdy's going to go on and win 7 Super Bowls is what I'm saying.
Well, no, neither am I.
What I'm saying is these are two guys that you got steals for at quarterback. I'd rather have Brock Purdy than have Bryce Young. I'd rather have Brock Purdy than have Ryan Leaf. I'd rather have Brock Purdy than having Jamarcus Russell. So, when we look at these situations and you look at what he's doing,
but you also just named 2 of the greatest flops at quarterback ever.
Right, but that's
the 2 worst draft busts of all time.
Right, but I also did what? Brock Purdy was drafted last. Ryan Leaf was drafted second.
Well, there's also no expectations. True.
He was drafted second. Brock Purdy was drafted last.
Jamarcus Russell was drafted first.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm literally telling people, here's your Mr. Irrelevant that is making under $1 million a year, and he's better than the guy that won a national championship with LSU and Jamarcus Russell, who, by the way, when the confetti was going and Jamarcus was on screen at LSU, I stood in front of my television and I said, I don't know. I still don't buy it. And I was right on that. I never bought it. So, I also said that when Phillip Rivers was chosen over Drew Brees, that the Chargers made a mistake. And then Drew Brees went on and won a Super Bowl. So there's certain things that are out here that we have to look at. And Brock Purdy's one of those things that's out here that we have to look at. This man is very young in his career. This man has won a starting job. I also said last year, all right, he's a starter. Going into this season, 2023-24, he's your starter. This was before Trey Lance was moved. This was before Jimmy Garoppolo. This was me saying before Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance left the team, Brock Purdy is your 1. If Jimmy stays, he's your 2. Trey Lance is your 3. Now, and then look at what happened. Not only did they trust in Brock Purdy, what did they do? They spent money to go get Jimmy G. Jimmy G is the best quarterback that's ever been behind Tom Brady because he's gone and brought himself to an NFL championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo's done some really good work, and he stayed healthier than most of the guys who were behind Brady. So give Jimmy his flowers. Trey Lance, they trade up to get him, a bunch of picks to get up there and to get him. And then look at what happened with that. Brock Purdy, for what they had to do to get Jimmy and what they had to do to get Purdy and all the, Jimmy and Trey, everything that it took to get those guys, all the moves they had to make, the amount of time they had to spend on the Jimmy Garoppolo back and forth of is this going to happen this year? Is it going to happen next year? And then to give up draft capital to get Trey Lance, only to go and get the final pick in a draft and have that be the guy that you're taking into your championship game. By the way, he's wearing lucky number 13, my grandfather's number. So Brock Purdy, as we look at him now, he has not had a Mr. Irrelevant type of career. His career's been beautiful. Some might say that it's been darn right Purdy. When we look at this, when we look at this and we see what Kyle Shanahan has done in his time with the Niners, by the way, he's been there a lot longer than I think people think he's been there. This is his 7th season there as the head coach.
He left there literally right after 28-3.
Yeah. So when you
after. That was the next year that he took over that team.
Yeah, so you look at this and you say, okay, 2017, we look at Shanahan here, and as we go through this, we got Garoppolo, Mullins, Lance, bunch of different guys that are here, CJ Beathard at times, and now Brock Purdy doing what he's doing. In the time that Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach of the 49ers, and I'm going to say this because my buddy Anthony Campbell from GG Cards and Breaks is not a Kyle Shanahan fan, so I do want to kind of share this with him. I really hope he's listening, is that the San Francisco 49ers in his first season as the head coach with this team, speaking of Kyle Shanahan, in his first season, the team went 6-10, then they went 4-12, then they went 13-3 and lost in the NFL title game. Then they went 6-10, then they went 10-7 and lost in the conference round. Then they went 13-4, lost in the conference round, and now they're back in the championship game again in the NFL. So you make it to the door of the Super Bowl, the door of the championship game, You make it to the door of the NFL title game 2 years in a row. Then a couple years before that, you make it to the NFL title game. Now you're back in the title game, and in the last 3 seasons, you've been at minimum in that high round in the conference. You've been in that big time round in the conference. And so, to me, he's done a ton of work that, I don't think he gets credit for. He's dealt with multiple quarterbacks, 5 different guys at least, that have been under center. And Kyle Shanahan, here he is again, moving his team forward again and back in this, NFL conference title where you're either losing it, winning it, and going to the championship game. But to get to the end of the NFC 3 years in a row now, go back to the title game and know that you've already been in the title game, which is also against the Chiefs. There's something to be said about the fact that Kyle Shanahan and this team that's had a lot of different personnel, a lot of different running backs, some different wide receivers, definitely a lot of different quarterbacks, and had a ton of injuries. And remember, in the COVID year, it was a miracle at times they even fielded a team between injury and COVID, and guys that had to stay out because of distancing and all that stuff and the amount of days that you have to be away if you test positive. So this San Francisco 49ers team, we don't talk about them because they've been in a shadow of the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't talk about them because there's people paying more attention to the team that's been on the other side of them. But the reality of the fact is it's hard to make it to the NFL championship game. Some franchises have never done it, including the Lions and the Jaguars. Before the SB, there was a 1957 NFL championship game that the Lions made it to and won. But since the institution of this title game that we see every year, we have not seen the Lions. We have not seen the Jaguars. There's other teams that we haven't, the Texans, so on and so forth. So as we look at this and we look at the history of the Niners, you got to give respect where respect is due, and you have to look at it and say, Kyle Shanahan has done a good job of getting them into the playoffs more often than not, getting them to the door of the title game in the NFL, and getting them to the title game. This is now the second opportunity. It's also against the Chiefs. And when was the last time the San Francisco 49ers had been relevant between recent history and the 90s? So, I would say that what they got right now is something that needs to be talked about and discussed. We should talk about their coaching. We should talk about Brock Purdy. We should talk about their defense. We should talk about the reemergence of CMC and the reimagining of, not even the reimagining, but just the rejuvenation of Christian McCaffrey. that this San Francisco 49ers team that is the underdog of this NFL title game is not really an underdog, especially with what they've done, the teams they've knocked out, the hype that those teams had, and getting their way forward to where they are, and now going back to their second title game in 5 years.
Yeah, and the one thing, obviously, I was waiting for you to finish there, and there's one thing that you mentioned that you talked about all the different quarterbacks that they've had over the last couple of years, and who's the last guy that brought them to the title game, right?
Yeah.
It was Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy are practically the same player in my eyes. Literally. The definition of game manager. Purdy's probably got a little bit more speed with his legs and everything. But good enough to win you games and run the Shanahan offense. We know Garoppolo wasn't great when he went to Vegas this year. I also think Josh McDaniels was a catastrophic failure in Vegas. So, hopefully them having someone new at the helm will be better.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets another shot as a starter. I mean, they spent all that money on him, so we'll see. But in my eyes, they're the same player. In that offense, they both ran it perfectly efficiently. That's why the Niners were still good before Brock Purdy took over last year. Because Trey Lance went down early. Garoppolo was running that team.
Yeah.
It was a good team.
Yeah.
Then Purdy takes over and won every single regular season game and takes him to the NFC Championship game. Only problem is he gets hurt. Then their backup gets hurt. And now Brock Purdy had to basically come back in and just hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey the rest of the game. They could have won that game last year had they had a healthy quarterback. They just didn't have one. They were getting ready to have Christian McCaffrey start throwing the football. I think that situation is the reason why the emergency QB is a rule now. And I think it's a very smart rule to have, because if a team loses their two active quarterbacks, it's like the emergency goalie in the NHL, right? There's always a guy on standby that could play goalie,
right,
for whichever team needs it, right? There should also be an emergency quarterback in a building for certain games like that, and that's why you have that for those teams. They dress; they're technically not active, but they can only get into a game if both quarterbacks are out. But it was a good move to make that rule. But now you have Purdy, and comparing him to Garoppolo in that Shanahan offense, it's so eerily similar to that team from 4 years ago that it makes me think that they're just going to start to try and go out there and do it again. Now, the difference is that year their defense was a little bit better than it is now, but they did add a lot of good pieces to that defense in the last 2 years. So this is a team that can easily win a championship against this Chiefs team. It'll be fun to watch, and we got 2 weeks to talk about it before that happens. But it'll be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, and to look forward to what this is going to be. It's another Super Bowl in red, and yes. now we'll see who's going to come up and emerge with this one. We know that it was the Chiefs last time. We'll see if this championship game, if this NFL title game is going to lean more on San Francisco's side. I mean, CMC, he is a difference maker. And what he has created, what he has done with this team has been huge. And I think I don't think Brock Purdy is like this doofy guy kind of just walks in. And I think some people still think that. They look at him and they go, oh, look at him. He looks like a baby. Isn't that cute that he made it to the championship game? And it's like, he's Brock Purdy. He's come back. He's done a lot of things. He's won some games in ways that, prove that he can do what needs to be done at the end of the game. So, I got to give him credit where credit is due. I got to give this defense credit where credit is due. This defense embarrassed teams, including my Jaguars during the season. They just, they would go to places and outright humiliate a team with what they're able to do. Brandon Ayuk, as well as Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, the amount of talent, George Kittle, that this team has offensively, the weapons that they have when this team is healthy, again, it's about healthy. Lamar Jackson hadn't been healthy for multiple seasons. He's fighting, going back and forth what's going to happen with his future with Baltimore. Then he's injured. Then is he injured and at the same time trying to jockey back and forth? And we don't see him out there. And Baltimore doesn't do anything, and they don't go anywhere. There's something to be said about the quarterbacks on teams and what you can do with those guys. There's also something to be said about the fact that both of the teams that are going in to this title game this season have strong defenses. Pat Mahomes has the best defense he's arguably had since he's been in Kansas City, and Brock Purdy's got a defense that was ranked number 1 going into the season, and now they're in the title game. So, like I said, to go with my point earlier, we talk about quarterback, coach. Well, the defensive side of the ball are big pieces here. That defensive side of the ball for San Fran allowed points to Detroit and then stopped doing that. Did something in halftime and made the adjustments they needed to make. Kansas City, this team's scoring 20 points, 26, 24. They're scoring low to mid-20s, and they're not doing these shootouts this season like they had been doing. They're not doing a 40-point game, a 33-point game. They're beating teams by condensing it, and Pat Mahomes spending a lot of time in Buffalo watching the game from the bench, spending a lot of time in Baltimore watching the game, going, all right, defense, you got it. So, we got to give credit to these two defenses because these defenses have done a great job to carry teams because, remember, Kansas City's had a bunch of drop balls. Travis Kelce's had a bunch of drop balls, and Kansas City keeps winning. And then you look on the side of San Francisco, and you say to yourself, wow, there were games where Brock Purdy could have led the team down the field to have 7 points, to have 10 points, to have 14 points, and they still would have beat teams that they were going up against because they only allowed 3. They only allowed this. They only allowed that. They had that 3-game losing streak, and then they went into a bye week. And then they came out of the bye week and blasted Jacksonville, and then they kept going. There's something to be said about a team that stops the bleeding, makes adjustments, plays to their strengths, and moves forward. And both of those teams, like it or not, are playing in the championship game.
Yeah, you've got the Chiefs, who were basically ranked second in the NFL in total defense for the year, and the 49ers, who were ranked 8th in terms of total defense. So both of those teams' defenses are really good. But I'll tell you right now, based on looking at the offensive situation, if it's a low-scoring game, it's advantage Chiefs. If it's a high-scoring game and it's a shootout, advantage Niners. So this is going to be... It's going to be a really, really interesting one next in 2 weeks that I'm really looking forward to. We're going to have 2 weeks to talk about it and see what we're going to expect to see. But I think it's going to be a really fun game.
What team had the second most sacks in the NFL this season? Kansas City Chiefs, 57. Second only to the Ravens that had 60 sacks. The 49ers, 48 sacks. So we're seeing teams go into this game that combined over 100 sacks this season. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, I am very excited to say that we're going to stay with the NFL here, talk about some coaching moves, talk about Jim Harbaugh, as well as the teams that seem to be waiting. Seattle and Washington, could they be waiting for all of this to wrap up? Or are they going to jump now? Are they going to pounce now if they were waiting for Detroit guys and Ravens guys to wrap things up? Will we wrap up before the NFL title game all of the coaching vacancies with a couple of them remaining? Or is this going to go on a little bit longer? Jim Harbaugh's back in the NFL. He is now with the Chargers. His brother's with the Ravens, which means they can't play in a title game. They would have to play each other in an AFC championship game. So, a lot of good stuff coming up. Plus, the Baseball Hall of Fame has a trio that will be inducted in 2024. There's a certain amount of votes that you need, and only 3 met and surpassed that threshold. We'll discuss them coming up after the break, as well as some sports card stuff, because your boy pulled some good things, had some fun, and at GG Cards and Breaks trade night at the Wildcat Sports Pub, I made some monies. So, and then Brendan he went to a show and decided to make a whole lot of money. The difference between Brendan and I is Brendan goes, I made this money. I said, cool. He said, then I spent some and I made that money. And I said, cool. I would have been like, I made that money. Peace. So like, but I love the reinvest.
Yeah, and then there's no hobby left.
Right. Well, no, because to me,
So
you still
my
got
mom
stuff.
tried to say the same thing.
You still got
and
stuff.
she's like, not much.
You still got
You want to
stuff,
see what I
Mark.
got left?
I got a whole box of stuff.
At the end of that sale, I had...
But you got
Hang
a lot
on.
of good stuff, though.
True. Now, granted, a lot of my stuff is currently getting graded. But after that sale, what I had left was basically this. That was literally all I had left. It's like 8 graded cards. I sold pretty much everything. But what that does, it basically resets everything.
Yeah.
Right? So I got to basically reset my collection, and we'll get more into this later because I'll kind of talk about how it all went down.
Yeah.
But I get to kind of start over and collect more things that I want, because a lot of what I started collecting was things that I knew other people wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Like I had so much Jalen Hurts stuff that I don't like the Eagles, and I don't like Jalen Hurts, but I was getting Jalen Hurts stuff.
Yeah.
I don't like Lamar Jackson, but I have Lamar Jackson stuff. I lost some money on that one yesterday.
Lamar. Hey, listen, the man made it to the
I
AFC
still think
Championship.
I could get more than what I gave you for it. I don't know by how much. I don't think I'll lose money on that card. I will say that, because there was one that sold on eBay last night for, I think it was $8.10.
Well, yeah. I mean,
And it was a BGS 9, and it was a worse patch.
Well, and the thing about it is, I had 4 of that run of RPAs of that specific card. So I had Nick Chubb, Lamar Jackson, DJ Moore, Traquan Smith. As of GG Cards and Breaks trade night at the Wildcat this past Thursday, I have none. They're all gone. Nick Chubb was the last to get sold. Believe it or not, Traquan went first, then Lamar, then DJ Moore at a GG Cards and Breaks trade night at the store on 639 Delmar Place, and then the trade night at the Wildcat with GG Cards and Breaks was Nick Chubb. So they're all gone, and the amount of money that I spent to bring all of those home, I think the DJ Moore one I pulled out of a pack, but the ones that I brought home versus, or how much I spent to bring them home versus how much I sold them for, it is a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I mess with Murph back and forth, because you'll see Murph and I, if you didn't know us, and let's say this, if you came into a place and Murph and I were wearing some type of mask over our faces so you didn't know who was what, you would be able to know in a casino which one is me and which one is Murph, because if we were sitting next to each other and we both won, I would get up and cash out and Murph would stay at the table for 2 more hours. So that's the difference.
I mean, that's not necessarily true anymore, but
Right.
I tell you what, the hardest part about that whole thing yesterday was avoiding the casino.
Right.
'Cause I
So
was
you just said
prepared
it's
to go-
not
I was
true, and
prepared
then
to
here
go
we
play.
are. Yeah.
No, I was prepared to go play a little poker, and I didn't. Well, because here's the difference. I say it's not true because recently at the blackjack table, I'll get to a certain point and I'll get up and leave. Like, I would win $300-400 in 20 minutes. I'd get up and leave.
Yeah. Smart.
So, I mean, it's a little bit different.
Right. Smart. One time, I was going through a relationship. We had just broken up. I got out of the house. I didn't want to go home. I was at Mohegan Sun in Wilkes-Barre. And I was there with, when I used to work at ESPN for the Pennsylvania area, Northeast PA. And our bosses took us out and they gave us a day, it was a whole night. It was like they brought us over and we could stay as long as we wanted, got us food, all this stuff at Mohegan Sun. So I played one of those penny machines and I got up to almost $100 on the penny machine, but I didn't want to go home because I was, not really happy about the breakup. So I stayed and I made money. I stayed. It went down, then it went back up. I still would have made money, but not as much. And I stayed, and then I ended up at the end of the night losing money. And I go back to that day going, I know why I stayed there. It was because I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go home to silence. I wanted to, not even silence, but I didn't want to think about the breakup, so I just stayed. And then I look back on this now, and I'm like, Daniel, I'm happy you've grown as a man. Because when there's a breakup, you never go to a casino. but we'll be back after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Plenty to talk about. DT and Murphy, we start the week off with you on Wake Up Call. We'll be back after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card shop. Get yourself over there 7 days a week. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. We continue to do the Panini NFL Player of the Day. There's a lot of great promotions going on there. When you buy a Panini football product, you have the opportunity for weekly prizes, a monthly prize, as well as the grand prize from Panini itself. And you can do all of that by going to GG Cards and Breaks today, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, for your opportunity to see if you will be one of the people that gets to enter into these awesome Panini prize giveaways. A lot of great stuff going on at GG Cards and Breaks. Fantastic for singles, packs, and boxes. You can get Disney Lorcana. They just got a ton of great stuff that came in for Disney Lorcana, which has been absolutely amazing. So many different products. They're growing and advancing and adding in new products, new pieces that you've never seen at GG Cards and Breaks before. That's why you got to go in every week. That's why you got to go in, honestly, every couple days to see what they're going to be bringing in. Awesome product with Disney Lorcana, with Pokemon, as well as baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, all sport, AEW, and more, as well as everything you need to protect your cards, all there in one shop. They have the boxes for you to put your cards into. They have all different size top loaders. They have sleeves. They have the one-touch cases. So many things all in one spot to make it easy for you to start your hobby or continue your hobby as you continue to make new memories with the sports card world at GG Cards and Breaks. Those memories will last forever, folks. Trust me, because I have collected sports cards for many, many years, and I've already in a few months got to make some really cool memories at GG Cards and Breaks. 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. It's not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Go and see them today, 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, we continue DT and Murphy on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as Murph and I are talking about a lot of different things, including the fact that Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach back in the NFL. He's found his way back to the West Coast. Am I surprised? No. So there's a couple openings that are left. We're going to discuss them. I want to get to Jim Harbaugh in a second, but I'm going to let you know, paint the little picture for you here of what's going on in the NFL from coast to coast. The Seattle Seahawks still have a vacancy. So the record with Pete Carroll, who was let go on January 10th, was 137 wins, 89 losses, and one tie over 14 seasons. Keep in mind, this man also helped this team to the title game. And then we take a look at the Washington Commanders, Ron Rivera, who was let go on January 8th. His record with the Commanders, 26-40-1 over 4 seasons. A lot different than Pete Carroll's tenure. Ron Rivera, who was Coach of the Year, and with the Carolina Panthers, you could argue that back-to-back years he was Coach of the Year. Did a lot of great stuff in Carolina. Didn't really understand why they let him go. Then he goes to Washington, and I got to say something about this man beyond wins and losses. He fought cancer, beat it, came back on the field. God bless every bit of that. God bless him and all of his loved ones, and thanks to God for helping him through it. Ron Rivera's time in Washington was a lot different than his time in Carolina, unfortunately for the Commanders and for him, so that job is now open. The ones that have been filled, the Atlanta Falcons fired Arthur Smith after he decided to scream out an F you to the coach on the other side and not shake his hand. Well, they fired Raheem Morris. They took 18 days in between of finding their new head coach, from January 7th's firing of Arthur Smith to the hiring of Raheem Morris on January 25th, just a few days ago. So he was hired, and he is the first former NFL head coach owner Arthur Blank has hired in his 20-plus year tenure. So he's the first former NFL head coach. Normally we see the Falcons not hire a head coach to the head coaching position who is currently a head coach somewhere else. Carolina Panthers let go of Frank Reich in his first season. They only let him go 11 games before firing him on November 27th. Great thing to do right around Thanksgiving. Always a sweet thing to fire people during the holidays. And the new coach that came in, Dave Canales, who has January 25th was hired. They hired the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive coordinator. And so this terms of the deal were not readily announced. Canales is 42 years old, and he's going to be working with Bryce Young and trying to help him move forward. The Los Angeles Chargers let go of Brandon Staley during the season when I was down in Florida with my dad. Fired him on my grandmother's birthday on December 15th. Jim Harbaugh was hired on January 24th. More than a month later, they brought in Jim Harbaugh. And so now Jim Harbaugh is the head coach back in the NFL after helping Michigan to a national championship in a year where he was suspended, I believe, twice. And, it's probably, for Jim Harbaugh, maybe best to get out of collegiate athletics so he doesn't get in trouble again. We'll see. The Tennessee Titans, I'm surprised he didn't do it sooner with everything that's gone on. The Tennessee Titans fired Mike Vrabel. That made no sense to me on January 9th. And on January 22nd, they hired Brian Callahan. Now, Vrabel, who led Tennessee to 4 consecutive winning seasons, did a lot of great work with the Titans, and he was still let go. Now, on the side of it, with Callahan, who was the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator, so now new coordinator coming in for Joe Burrow for the Bengals. Now, Callahan is the 6th coach for the Titans franchise since it moved from Houston to Tennessee prior to the 1997 season. The Las Vegas Raiders let go of Josh McDaniels on November 1st. Antonio Pierce was filling in as an interim. They took the interim tag off, which I thought they would. And on January 19th, he became the head coach there. The New England Patriots parted ways with Bill Belichick. It's funny how it says a bunch of these coaches were fired, but in Bill Belichick's thing, it says agreed to part ways. And then we had
Pete Carroll was the same way, though, too.
Right. Well, I mean, some things put fired. Some couldn't figure it out, whatever they want to call it. Jared Mayo is now Gerard Mayo, whatever. Jared Mayo, I think it's Jared Mayo.
Gerard
Mayo. I fight myself every time it comes out of my mouth. I think about it. So Gerard Mayo, pardon me, who played for the New England Patriots, he is now the head coach of the team. And Bill Belichick does not have a job currently. So that is what it looks like around the league. There was 8 openings. There's only 2 left. Your thoughts, Murph? Let's start with Jim Harbaugh, the guy who had an open door to run away from the problems of Michigan. And he didn't do that. Then they won a championship, and now he's gone. What are your thoughts?
I think the Chargers made the most sense for him. I think the Chargers set their eyes on him from day one, and they got their guy. So, no argument there. I think he was the perfect guy for that job. He's going into a great situation with a good young quarterback and still a fairly talented roster that was just poorly coached. So, I'm just, assuming that that one will make sense. I think the Chargers turn things around pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we shall see with them and as they step forward, but a great situation for him to be in with Justin Herbert as he heads back to the NFL and heads back to the West Coast, which is kind of ironic because the Big Ten has branched out to the West Coast that Michigan is in, and now Jim Harbaugh is back in the West Coast after leaving Michigan. Kind of funny how that all worked out the way that it did. Your other thoughts? Hires that you like, ones that you don't like. We went through the league here and named off everybody that had gotten hired. Are there ones that stick out to you in a good way, stick out to you in a scratch your head way? Where are you at with the rest of the
NFL? Honestly, I mean, the Antonio Pierce one with the Raiders, I think, made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
There's not really another coaching hire that I could safely say, I really like. I didn't particularly care for Gerard Mayo. I thought Mike Vrabel would have been the perfect guy for them.
Agreed.
Seattle and Washington still haven't done anything, so I don't really know enough about some of these guys, too, to really, say that, oh, this guy's going to be a great head coach or anything. We haven't had any of that.
Yeah.
There hasn't been, a phenomenal coordinator that finally gets a head coaching job. Eric Bieniemy still doesn't have a coaching job, but I don't know if that's all that surprising because it seemed like it was more Andy Reid than it was Eric Bieniemy, and now was he with the Commanders?
Yeah.
That's right.
So is Jack Del Rio, who is now vacated. So he's
Yeah.
looking for a job too.
And then but the thing that bothered me this coaching cycle, and it started with when Gerard Mayo played the victim card during his introductory press conference. These coaching hires, people make them out to be all about black and white, right? Nobody gives a crap if you're black or white. If you're the right person for the job, you're the right person for the job. But I wanted to smack Gerard Mayo when I heard him say that. I'm like, dude, shut up. Just coach the damn team. You got hired because you were a good person for the job. Right? Raheem Morris got hired because he was a good person for the job. You know, some of these coaches are getting hired because they are the right person for the job. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at it like this. Regardless of, and I think the Rooney Rule is just stupid. You're required to interview a person of color for a head coaching job, right?
But in today's world, if you're required to bring them in, but if you don't hire a person of color, then they could get horrible PR from that. What I want, and I understand why the Rooney Rule is there, it's because of racism and not letting people in to have opportunities before, which is wrong. What you have to be careful of anything that's an affirmative action piece is that you want your best person. I've had people work for me that are male. I've had people work for me that are female. I've had people work for me that are white. I've had people work for me that are black. I did not choose them based on male, female, and what color their skin is. I chose them based on the fact that JT Molo and Amani Free, and when I look at Zach and I look at JT and I look at Amani, three of my best workers ever for Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, I hired them based on their character, their integrity, the type of people that they've chosen to be, the work ethic that they had is why they stayed with me. So that's why I hired the people that I hired. I don't like the notion of I have to hire someone who is of Native American descent or Hispanic. I mean, I'm Hispanic, and I don't want to hear the coach was hired, being Hispanic and Italian. I don't want you to tell me, well, we hired the Hispanic coach because we wanted a brown coach. That to me sounds racist. Being Hispanic,
absolutely,
saying like, well, we needed a brown, like that to me, it feels racist. It feels like, ugh, don't say that. So to me, I don't ever look at Mike Tomlin and go, wow, he's a really good black coach. I look at Mike Tomlin and go, wow, he's a really good coach. He's a coach that should have he should have carte blanche. He should leave when he feels like leaving. Like, when I think about Mike Tomlin, I don't ever look at him and go, wow, Bill Belichick's a good coach and he's white. And Andy Reid's a good coach and he's white. And Mike Tomlin's a good coach and he's not white. I look at them and I go, wow, Bill Belichick won a lot of games. Andy Reid resurrected his career. And Mike Tomlin has been one of the most consistent guys of having winning season. I think it's like 17 seasons in a row, winning seasons, getting to the postseason.
Never had a losing season with the Steelers.
Right. So when you look at that, I mean, that I don't hear Mike Tomlin saying, man, it feels so good to be a black coach. I hear Mike Tomlin talk about his players and talk about what they're going to do. I don't really hear him ever talk about himself. And so, if Mayo wants to go there and wants to say, hey, this is what I'm going to make it about, the reality of the fact is, whatever he wants to say it's about, this is how it goes. He's got to go, prove he can be a head coach, prove he can oversee a team, prove he can get the right coordinators, prove he can get the right assistant coaches, prove he can get the right scouts, prove he can bring in the right players, prove he can have a good draft, prove he can have a good relationship with Bob Kraft, or at least a working relationship, prove that he can move this team forward and do what needs to be done to get to the playoffs and have a fighting chance at winning a title game. If he doesn't do any of that stuff, they don't care if he's black, white, blue, brown, purple, whatever it may be, they're going to fire him. So
exactly.
So the reality of the fact is, when we start saying, I mean, I would just never say that. I've talked to people that are all different nationalities and colors, and I've never been like, wow, that was such a great conversation with an Asian coach. I say, wow, that's such a great conversation with Susan. Like, I don't see color. I don't see, and I know when people say they're like, you're full of whatever, Dan, because you can see what color a person is. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you look at my group of friends are all different. They're different nationalities, they're different colors, they're different religions, they're different backgrounds. Why are they my friends? Because I wanted the United Nations? No. Because Isaac, Rob, you, Johnny, Joey, Ross, and so on and so forth are really good people that I trust. People that I trust if you're behind the wheel and I'm in the passenger seat. People that I trust if somebody talks bad about me in a room that I'm not in. People that I trust if I need somebody to be there for me in a time of grief or at a time of happiness. My people are my people, and I think that it's actually more racist to have we need a black coach. You got to find a black, because then it sounds get anybody that's that color and bring them in, and they don't have to be qualified. They just have to be that color. As a Hispanic, as an Italian, I would never want somebody to go, you know what, we've had a lot of Irish people. It's time to get an olive in here. I would consider that highly racist, and I wouldn't take the job.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. But I mean, if you think about it, that's.
Oh, we might have lost Murph here for a second. Let's see if we can. What did you say, Murph? You said that's what? We missed you for a second.
Okay. So basically what I said is that is the reason why our vice president is who our vice president is. That is the reason why a certain person is on the Supreme Court, right? They got their jobs because they were black women. I don't give a crap if you're white, black, purple, brown, green, blue, whatever. If you're a Smurf, I don't care. If you're the best person for the job, you're the best person for the job, period. Yeah. Right? It sounds like, and not to get political or anything, it sounds like Donald Trump's going to be the presumptive nominee for president. One of the guys that makes the most sense for him to be his vice president is Vivek Ramaswamy, who is, I believe, Middle Eastern. So he's brown, as people would call him, right? But he's not going to be, he wouldn't be the vice presidential candidate because he's brown. He'd be the vice presidential candidate because he's the best damn person for the job.
Well, and they agree. They're aligned.
Exactly.
They're aligned.
And honestly, people my generation love the guy. Absolutely, because he's honest. He, is a younger, I honestly think he's a younger version.
He's not a politician.
He's not. He's a businessman.
That's why people.
That is why those two people will go perfectly together, right? And there's other people on Trump's list. I mean, supposedly he's made his pick already, but Kristi Noem from South Dakota, I think she's the governor out there, is supposedly on that list too. She's on the list because she's a good politician and she knows what she's doing, right? Pence was the VP the first time because he was a good politician and knew what he was doing. He's not going to pick him again because they had that falling out, but that's that.
They didn't really fit
but
each
ultimately,
other.
just to get, yeah, exactly. But to get away from that topic for a second, because nobody wants to spend all that time on politics on a sports show, but that is the major issue that happens in not just in the NFL, in sports, in the world, everything. They make everything about color. They make everything about race, and it's like, who cares?
But think about it.
Get hired if they're good for the job.
Think about it. People don't go, is LeBron James a really good black player? No, they say LeBron James is a really good player.
They just say he's a great player.
They don't say Larry Bird is like a really, really solid white guy. It's like Larry Bird is one of the greatest. LeBron James is one of the greatest. I think it's more racist to preface that. Who are the best black players of all time? Who are the best white players of all time? My whole thing is, if I played in the NBA and I'm one of the 50 greatest players, if I'm one of the 50 greatest black players, then there's still segregation. Then nothing Martin Luther King did came through. Nothing Malcolm X did came through, and we're back where we started. The reality of it all to me is I see people. I see your heart. I see how you treat people. I see how you act toward people. That's what I care about. Mayo, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your background is. I don't care how much money you have. I want to see you go kick some A as the head coach of the Patriots. I want to see you be successful, Mayo. Why do I want to see you be successful? Because I want to see everybody eat. I want to see everybody be successful. And I want the NFL
except Arthur Smith.
I want to see the NFL have the best
who just interviewed for the Steelers offensive coordinator job, by the way.
I would not hire Arthur
God,
Smith.
I hope he doesn't get it.
And this, well, here's another example. I don't care what color Arthur Smith is. I don't care what religion he is. I don't care how much money he makes. If you go and say on national television, live, you walk up to a coach and say F you and start screaming at him and doing this and pointing your finger and refusing to shake their hand, this is what it tells me. You can't control your emotions. So what are you going to do to my players? What are you going to do to people that are working in the am I going to see you yelling at a lady that at a concession stand that's selling a hot dog? Am I going to see you berating one of my players when I go into when I go into the locker room or something like that? Am I going to listen to you berate one of the other assistant coaches? If I make you a coordinator, how are you going to treat the quarterbacks coach? How are you going to treat the running backs coach? See, the problem with Arthur Smith is he has a PR problem now. He has a I can't control my emotions problem. That might have been one bad day. That might have been Arthur Smith couldn't control his emotions one time and we caught it on camera and he made a mistake, and people make mistakes all the time. But like they say, and I truly believe this, and I said this yesterday and I can't take credit for it because my buddy Rob Drummond said it to me. First time you do something is a mistake. Second time you do it as a habit. Third time is a lifestyle. So what teams need to figure out with Arthur Smith or with anybody is when you're interviewing them, is this who he is? When he's in a pressure cooker, does he lose his mind or can he contain himself? Because if Arthur Smith had a bad moment, which that moment that I saw would make me not want to hire him, but I can't fault him on one moment. I have to have a conversation with him about that and determine where he's at and what he's doing. It depends on the level of what you've done. Like if you murdered somebody, probably not going to hire you. But, you had a moment where you came out here, you said F you did a lot of this stuff. It looks dirty. It looks nasty. But do you have a history of this? Do you have a history of losing your mind? Can I talk to...
Is a history of losing games.
Right, but the thing is, can I have...
And misusing players.
Can I have a conversation with people? Right. Okay, do I want him to be my head coach when Kyle Pitts is a ghost on the field? No, because Kyle Pitts shouldn't be like that. Tyler Algier, same thing. So ultimately, when you're hiring somebody, you have to go through this process. And that's why I say with Eric Bieniemy, let's get off all this stuff about, color, blah, 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 because that's not true. There's a bunch of people of all different colors that are in the NFL. Eric Bieniemy at this point, if he's not getting a head coaching job, it might be because he doesn't interview well, because he doesn't have enough people to come in and be on his staff, because he doesn't have a good plan, because he doesn't fit. Eric Bieniemy, to say that this is because of anything other than how he's interviewing, it's been years now. We've seen Lovie Smith in multiple places. I
don't even think he interviewed for anything this cycle, though, right?
Right. I don't think he did. I mean, I didn't see him on the list. D'Amico Ryans. I mean, you look at the guys that have come in. Raheem Morris. There's so many guys now, Todd Bowles, that have done a fantastic job and happen to be the same color as Eric Bieniemy. So you can't scream the card because it sounds like it's just a Bieniemy thing. I want him to get a job. I hope that he does. I hope that things work out. But the reality of it all is we need to get back to hiring people based on the content of their character, which is something that Martin Luther King spoke about. We need to hire
his exact words.
Right. The content of your character is how you should be judged. The content of your character, not the color of your skin, but the content of your character. So listen to what Martin Luther King said. Listen to, I hire people based on, can I trust you? Will you be on time? Can I trust you in no specific order? Are you good at listening? Are you good at constructive criticism? Can you work with me? Can you teach me something? Can I learn from you? Because as a boss, I'm not trying to just speak at you. I want to learn from you. So can I learn from you? I've learned from you, Brendan. So can I learn from you? Will you be on time? Will you be consistently good, not occasionally great? Will you, do you have strong morals and values? A faith is a beautiful thing to see in people. Do you have to have it? For me, no. But having a faith, having morals and values, having a compass, that's important to me. Do you have integrity? Can I trust you? That's what it comes down to. Because if I hire you and you break my trust, that's it. Peace out. Have a good life. I'm not going to put myself in a situation, a shame on me, the second time. So, I feel like when we look at all of these things, we can say we want this guy, we don't want that guy. There's a lot of names that people are kind of like, who's that guy? I don't know about that guy. But the reality of the fact is that these teams need help. Jim Harbaugh is going to carry the name. Raheem Morris, to a certain extent, is going to carry the name. But a lot of these names that we're seeing getting hired, we're kind of like, yeah, okay. Is Mayo going to be there for 3 years? Is Callahan going to be there for 2 or 3 years? We're kind of in this question mark mode, but, we're also seeing some of the coaches that we've known so well gone. No Pete Carroll, no Bill Belichick, Ron Rivera. These are names.
End of an era. Even college football. Saban's gone.
Right. But Saban, you look at the
history, end of an era, like legitimately.
But you look at it. You look over the past few years, and people can say what they want to say. But in the institution of name, image, and likeness, thank you, California. In the institution of name, image, and likeness, which I say thank you, California, because they pushed this thing through. There was no parameters, and if no other state did it, California was going to benefit, and the other 49 states were going to get screwed, so they had to push it through. But there's no good legislation with NIL right now that I think is going to corral this thing. So until they get this right, because I do believe players should make money, because a lot of these people will never play the sport professionally. So I want to see them actually be able to make money off of their name, image, and likeness while they have the opportunity to. NIL, transfer portal, realignment, all of this stuff that's been going on, they can say it has nothing to do with coaches leaving. Jay Wright, Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Nick Saban. Now Jim Harbaugh's gone to the NFL. It's the reality of the times is college is not college anymore. And with college not being college anymore and there being no corralling of any of this stuff, we're in a situation that's dangerous. And this unfortunate, dangerous situation has seen the loss of many collegiate head coaches that I miss dearly. And a lot of the ones that I mentioned, I've interviewed. I've interviewed Saban. I think everybody that I mentioned, except for Harbaugh, I've interviewed. So it's
Oh, that's right. You missed Harbaugh.
I missed Harbaugh. I tried to get Harbaugh, and we were doing a Zoom call, and I tried to get him, and I wasn't able to get him, even though I had put myself out there for a question because they had a certain amount of time. But I've gotten Saban, I've gotten Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Jay Wright. So, I mean, I personally feel the ripple effect of these guys, especially Jay Wright. 61 years old. He's won 2 championships in recent history. He was voted the coach of the decade. Like, this was a weird time for him to leave, and I don't want to believe he's gone forever. But, I mean, things have changed. Sports have changed collegiately because of all this crap that's around it now. And it's unfortunate, but now some of these guys are going to the NFL. I asked Randy Etzel what he would tell his son Corey, who was on the show last week. I said, what would you say to Corey, who's coaching right now? He said, I would tell my son, and he said it point blank. He said, I would tell my son, he would tell anybody, if you have the chance to go to the NFL, leave college football and go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to leave football and we're going to head to baseball here. We're going to come back after this fast break and wrap up the broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with DT and Murphy to start off your week. Murph and I in the final week of January, I can't believe it, tier. I remember last year saying, oh my gosh, it's January. How's it the end of January? Now it's the end of January a year later. Enjoy your time. Spend it wisely. Do not allow stress and anxiety and people's opinions and thoughts and actions toward you change who you are and how much you love yourself and enjoying your day and your precious time, folks. It goes by way too fast. Please don't waste it. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Murph and I will be discussing the fact that the Baseball Hall of Fame right here in Cooperstown area is going to get 3 more people coming in. And on top of that, with those 3 coming in, we're also going to discuss the fact that most of the sports cards on the table of Murph went out. So we got 3 coming in, but we had a bunch of baseball players leave yesterday when it comes to sports cards. We'll talk about it right after this, where sports meets life, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you so much for being with us. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a streetside cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Streetside Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Going over on our time, as we always do, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Murph and I have a couple things to talk about before we wrap up your Monday morning. And that, Murph, has to do with the Baseball Hall of Fame. So let me tee you up here and let you know exactly what's going on. You see what I did there? Tee you up. I had to say it. It had to be done. So looking at Hall of Fame weekend, which is going to be July 19th to the 22nd. Who's excited? Go to Cooperstown, see the thing. Very, very much looking forward to this. So we know that the induction here is going to be bringing in 3 new names. Those names that are going in for the class of 2024, and actually, pardon me, there's 4 here because Jim Leland, manager, is going to be going in as well. But of the voting, Adrian Beltre as well as Todd Helton and Joe Mauer will all be going in the class of 2024. Jim Leland will also be coming in. So we see Leland here with his Detroit Tigers gear on. We see Beltre with the Texas Rangers. Anytime I see anything Texas Rangers related, I'm still having issues with that. Coming off of the World Series, we have the Colorado Rockies jersey for Todd Helton, and obviously looking at the fact that, you know, and there's some catcher history and some good stuff here when we look at Joe Mauer and the fact that he's going to be going in and seeing him in his Twins gear as he spent his entire career with the Minnesota Twins. So congratulations to the gentlemen that have the opportunity to get in here on their voting. And Jim Leland, who is coming in as a manager, the other 3 coming in as players. Exciting times for the Baseball Hall of Fame. I know Murph wanted to talk about it, so I defer to you, sir.
All right, yeah. So I mean, it's a great class this year. I don't know if you saw the that Wyatt Langford card that I just put up on the screen. Just thought I'd tease you a little bit while you were going on there. I know how much the Rangers are hurting you, but he's a Gator, and you know I love him. So
Put it away. Put it away.
it's away. Don't worry. Don't
Put it
worry.
away.
It's in my box. It's in my box.
It's
My
all
very
good.
empty card box. But I mean, hey, they had a heck of a year, man. You can't even be disappointed. They had a great season.
They did.
Both of those teams did. But I mean, both of them deserved to win.
I'm very proud.
Rangers just played better. That's all it was.
They did.
But yeah, so three new members inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame: Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer. Adrian Beltre, up until probably his age 30 season, not many people expected he would have been a Hall of Famer, but he just never got hurt. He was always a very good defensive third baseman, and he just collected the counting stats. Over 3,000 hits, nearly 500 home runs. You know, good baseball player. Very good baseball player. Definitely a deserving Hall of Famer. Todd Helton and Joe Mauer were ones that the people were kind of borderline on. I thought Todd Helton was a Hall of Famer, but if you look back at it and you see, obviously most of his career was played, actually all of his career was played in Colorado, in Denver. So, you know, that elevation change and the effect that it's had on the baseballs definitely could play a role. Definitely a victim, I guess you could say, of the Coors effect. But he gets in his sixth year on the ballot. And then Joe Mauer, one of the better catchers of all time, won multiple MVP awards, and was just an all-around very good player, won a batting title. Guy that I didn't know if he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I thought he was definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So those are the three guys that get in. Happy for them. A lot of what happens this time of year after you look at the results are the guys that didn't get in. So, you know, just moving down the ballot a little bit, you look at the next guy that didn't get in is Billy Wagner. Billy Wagner missed by 5 votes. And realistically, Billy Wagner is a guy who's got, I believe it is the highest the K percentage in Major League history for a reliever. He's got the second best ERA for a reliever of all time behind Mariano Rivera. He is one of the best all-around relievers to ever pitch in baseball. Only problem is he didn't do it in the biggest situations. He was not great in the playoffs, and the longevity wasn't there. He kind of retired when he easily could have kept going for a few more years, so the counting stats aren't there quite as much in terms of saves. But I think he's a guy that should be a Hall of Famer. You know, in terms of pure dominance, he is one of the best pitchers I've ever seen. You know, that slider from the left side was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And he threw a fastball that sometimes got up to 100 miles an hour. So he's a guy that I think deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think next year, ballots cleared a little bit. You know, you got Ichiro coming on the ballot next year. I mean, he'll probably get 100% of the vote. I would be shocked if he does not. But he will probably be a Hall of Famer. And, I mean, there's really not... I think there's someone else coming on the ballot. I can't remember who it is that's big like that. But there's 2 names that will probably be first ballot Hall of Famers next year. But Billy Wagner, I imagine, will get into the Hall of Fame next year.
And
Gary Sheffield... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say... Finish your point, because I'm going to look at a couple things in voting, so go ahead with what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. So Gary Sheffield was in his 10th and final year on the ballot. Got to 63.9% of the vote. He's a guy that, you know, if Bonds, Clemens, you're not voting in A-Rod, McGuire, Sosa, Canseco, like if those guys aren't Hall of Famers, Gary Sheffield's not a Hall of Fame. Just plain and simple. So, like, you can't put Gary Sheffield in before you put in Barry Bonds. Like, that would just be utterly ridiculous because Barry Bonds is the most home runs of anybody to ever play baseball. So, with him, I get it. He would not have been on my ballot. There were a lot of voters that, you know, in the 10th and final year on the ballot for guys that usually get a decent percentage of the vote, they tend to shoot up a little bit in their final year of eligibility, right? He did that. I didn't think much of it. I'm not surprised. He falls off the ballot. Maybe he gets in the Veterans Committee, but apparently he wasn't really a great clubhouse guy. Not a whole heck of a lot of people liked him. So I don't think he'll ever be a Hall of Famer. I don't think he was a Hall of Famer for that matter. He's a good player. 500 home runs. I mean, in the old days he would have been a Hall of Famer, but with the steroid issues with him, he's not a Hall of Famer. The next one down the list, Andrew Jones, that makes no sense to me. He's in his 7th year on the ballot. Now he's going into his 8th year on the ballot. He's at 61.6%.
Yeah.
The dude was one of the greatest defensive center fielders ever. Guys like him, guys like Keith Hernandez, how are they not in the Hall of Fame when you've got a guy like Ozzie Smith in there who was only really good for his defense? Got some hits, but was never a good hitter, right? Harold Baines is a Hall of Famer. Harold Baines was not a great player by any means. And that's, Hall of Famer or not. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Harold Baines' career. He did have a decent career, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. There's other guys in the Hall of Fame that I would have put these Andrew Jones, Keith Hernandez in over them. 10 gold gloves in center field. That's unheard of. 10 gold gloves at first base for Keith Hernandez. That's ridiculous. Carlos Beltran, I think, continues to be punished for the Astros cheating scandal. The trash can thing.
But the Astros
57% of the vote.
The Astros don't get punished, but the players do. That makes no sense.
I know. 57% of the vote for Carlos Beltran in his 2nd year on the ballot. He is a Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says. He'll get in eventually. Probably another 2 or 3 years down the line. But I think he was at 30-something% last year, like 38%, and he took a big jump. I could be wrong about that. But he did, I believe he did take a decent jump this year. So I imagine he will again. Maybe not all the way to 75%, but close. I would imagine.
Let me hit a couple things here. So, because you brought up a bunch of the voting here, and I know that in our feed here, and you can always write to us during the show, and we implore you to do so. Wake Up Call is live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can write to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Just click on the live streaming video at the time, and you can write in the moment. You can also go back and watch any video and leave your comments as well. Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, where we are also live. You can click on the video and leave your comments, and you can leave your comments after it airs live as well there. And you can go to our live internet streaming radio on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, or you can download the Podbean app and search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and you can also write to us in that feed as well. So I just want to thank everybody that's written into us by email, by social media, and by all of these outlets on our live feeds all throughout the years. Much appreciation to all of you wonderful people for your love and support. So, with that being said, to go back on some of the things that you were talking about, you need to have a 75%. So you need 289 votes to be elected in. And Adrian Beltre had 366, so he had 95.1%. Todd Helton with 307 had 79.7%. Joe Mauer with 293 had 76.1%. So he made it by just a few votes there, needing 280.
He got in by
4.
4 votes, maybe?
Yeah, 4 votes. Like you said, Billy Wagner missing by 5. Hoping that Wagner gets in. Andrew Jones, I mean, that's a name you hear all the time. Carlos Beltran, I would be very surprised. I feel like I'm already kind of understanding that I'm going to hear his name for the Hall of Fame. The one right after him, though, receiving 134, needing 289, is Alex Rodriguez. And we were just about to get into that, yeah.
Yeah,
like him. So, like Alex, you look at Barry, look at Roger Clemens, you look at Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. It seems like this is going to be another person added to the tally of, because of your connection to steroids, we may talk about you. We may have your stats in the Hall. Pete Rose's stats are in the Hall. I think Sammy Sosa's, I think his jersey's in the Hall. Mark McGwire's bat. There's an area that has like Sosa stuff and McGwire stuff.
The 70th home run.
Yeah. So you see their stuff in the Hall. You see their name in the Hall, but they are not in the Hall. So their history is there.
Makes no sense.
But the man's not there. Carlos Beltran, I expect to be there. Alex Rodriguez, I would anticipate, might get punished like the rest of these guys. Manny Ramirez, little surprised here, only 125 votes, 32.5%.
He's in the same class though.
Right.
Got busted for PEDs. Same thing.
Yeah,
But
but
going back to A-Rod, if Bonds and Clemens aren't in, A-Rod's not in. That's just the way it's going to be.
Well,
same with Manny Ramirez.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I don't see anybody. The voters for the Cooperstown Hall of Fame have made it pretty clear. If you have been connected to performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, whatever, if you have been connected to this and there's somewhat proof or enough information that they believe that there is proof, you're not going into the Hall of Fame. There's other names.
David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame, and he failed a test.
Right.
He was in the Mitchell Report.
Well, the thing is, and Big Papi was the only one to make it last year. Big Papi, I have jokingly said this, but it's like joking serious, that he has such a fun-loving personality that it's like, Big Papi, did you do steroids? And he goes, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? You look great. Family good?
Hey, man, what's up?
But that's the thing is, it's just like Big Papi, he's love. He's like, love. I love it.
I know.
But Sammy
But
Sosa
still,
was also Sosa's love. But the crazy thing about it is Big Papi, but the thing with Big Papi was, it's like there wasn't a lot of time. There wasn't as much time on it. There wasn't as much information on it. There wasn't as much.
There was never a second failed test like these guys had.
Like Alex Rodriguez, there was years about it. Mark McGwire, decades about it. Over a decade about it. Sammy Sosa, over a decade about it. So Barry Bonds, all these years about it. The Michelin Man, the guy who was 89 pounds, and then all of a sudden he's like built up like, the Stay Puffed guy from Ghostbusters. So when you look at some of this stuff and you have these conversations, Big Papi makes it in because I don't think people thought about it enough, and he's fun-loving. You got to remember, Jim Boeheim got punished by the NCAA. Roy Williams didn't. Jim Boeheim's personality, different. Coach K, or not Coach K, John Calipari, man goes to a school, the school gets in trouble, he doesn't. Goes to another school gets in trouble, he doesn't. Goes to another school gets in trouble, he doesn't. He keeps making more and more money, gets a pay raise every time he breaks the rules. He doesn't get anything from the NCAA. He's not in trouble because he's charismatic. Grease oil salesman. Different guy. Jim Boeheim will tell you to your face, I don't care about this stuff. John Calipari might know how to schmooze it a little bit better based on the outside looking in. I don't know how Calipari is behind closed doors. I don't know if he can schmooze, but it seems like the personalities are different. And those personalities, John Calipari's never been brought up on anything, or even if he is, nothing happens. Jim Boeheim was brought up and immediately convicted. So that's how I look at some of this stuff. So with Big Papi, his personality's different. Maybe not from Sammy Sosa as much, but because Sammy Sosa was that fun-loving guy and everybody loved, kissing and doing that to your chest and doing the peace sign. People were doing it all over the place. But Big Papi, there was a small amount of time. There wasn't a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
Clemens, nothing.
But the thing is,
there's too much time with Clemens. There was too much time with A-Rod. There was too much time with Sammy. There was too much time with Mark McGwire. But what I would say to Major League Baseball, because I'm not for performance-enhancing drugs. I am not for anything that gives you an unfair advantage. I don't think if you don't let one in, you don't let any of them in. Or you make a room that has an asterisk and says, this is the room of performance-enhancing drugs. Whatever happened in this room of these people that we show you, the people that are in this room may or may not have done things on performance-enhancing drugs. My issue with Major League Baseball is I'm not happy with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa for their personal decisions. I also would question the conscience of Major League Baseball and say, would you even exist right now after the strike if not for Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa?
You're right. And you're absolutely right. But the big distinction is that David Ortiz did fail a drug test, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
He did, but
there's guys that had rumors of drugs. Pud Rodriguez had rumors of taking PEDs. As much as it kills me to say it, there were rumors Mike Piazza did it, even though I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that he probably didn't. But yeah, A-Rod will never get in for the same reason that Bonds and Clemens aren't in. However, and I've said this before, and I said this when they were on the ballot, Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he took steroids. 350 home runs, 350 steals, one of the only people that ever do that. still had a 300 plus batting average, on base over 350. This is before he really started taking anything.
Yeah.
And we still don't know for sure if he actually took PEDs, right? I mean, we think he fails the eye test, right? Clemens failed the test, Bonds didn't, right? Bonds was the most feared hitter in recent history, in baseball history for that matter. What team in their right mind walks a guy with the bases loaded up by 2 in the 9th inning and forces in a run? What team does that? Who do you do that for? You do that for Barry Bonds, who is, in my eyes, the greatest hitter I have ever witnessed. Now, I never got to see him in person, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I don't think I did. But Barry Bonds, and let's go 2004. That was probably, everybody remembers 2001, the year he hit 73 home runs, right? 2004. He walked, I want to say it was 262 times. People strike out more times than that. Or people strike out less times than that. He walked 206. His on-base percentage was .609. That means he got on base 6 out of every 10 at-bats. His batting average was like 360. The dude had like 375 official at-bats, but 600 plate appearances because of all the walks. When the difference with certain steroid users, right? You still have to have the God-given ability to hit the baseball. Right? Barry Bonds still had the ability to hit the baseball. Before steroids, he was still one of the best players in baseball. Post steroids, he was the greatest hitter ever. He's the greatest hitter I've ever seen. Greatest player I've ever seen. Right? People ask the question, who's the greatest baseball player ever? I think the answer is Barry Bonds. I know we think he took steroids and whatnot, but
see, I go with Hank Aaron. I'm still with Hank Aaron.
I get that, and I don't really have an argument against it because I think it's a very valid, very fair point. But Barry Bonds, the way he played the game and how many baseballs he hit over that fence, and it was effortless, right? But I'm going to leave it at that because obviously we got more guys to talk about on this list.
Pump me up with a bunch of stuff, and I could probably put it over the fence too. So
absolutely.
So
but, if you go further down the list, though, I mean, Chase Utley got just under 30% of the vote. Omar Vizquel, I believe he's in his like a 6th or 7th year on the ballot. He got to 17%. He's probably never going to get in, even though
Jimmy Rollins of Philly.
Jimmy Rollins is up there. Bobby Abreu and Jimmy Rollins both got the same
Andy
percentage
Pettitte
of the
might
vote.
never get in because he was the whole did he take him, but then he whistle blew on Roger Clemens. So
yep, that's true. I don't think Andy Pettitte was a Hall of Famer. But one of the best postseason pitchers ever, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Mark Burley, same thing. Good pitcher in his day, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I also didn't think Mike Mussina was a Hall of Famer, but he got in.
Yeah. I do want to hit this, though, to the people that don't know. If you fall less than 5%, you drop off the ballot.
Correct.
So,
and there were quite a few guys that did as well.
So, and I've read this, I think I did it a couple of years ago. If you receive less than 5%, you fall off the ballot. You're not allowed to be on next year's ballot. So Jose Bautista is now out. He had 6 votes, 1.6%. Victor Martinez, 6 votes, 1.6%. Bartolo Colon, 5 votes, 1.3%. Matt Holliday, 4 votes, 1%. Adrian Gonzalez, 3 votes, 0.8%. Brandon Phillips, 1 vote, 0.3%. Jose Reyes, no votes, 0%. James Shields, no votes, 0%.
How did Brandon Phillips get a vote and Jose Reyes didn't?
I'm just saying.
I don't get that.
Okay. How did Derek Jeter not get voted in unanimously because one guy left him off the ballot?
Because Derek Jeter didn't deserve to get 100% of the vote. I don't care what anybody says. He did not deserve to be unanimous.
Who's the one?
He was not the greatest to do it at his position. Mariano Rivera, case closed, was the greatest to ever do it at his position.
But then you look at guys and I say, okay, Mariano gets 100%, which I 100% agree with. But here's the thing. Mariano Rivera is the only player ever in the history of the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame to get 100% of the votes. Of every position put together in its entirety, he's the only person to get 100%. So people got mad at Mariano, and I went against this, and I said, why are you mad at Mariano Rivera? Mariano Rivera didn't do anything wrong. The voters did something wrong because they say, well, how does he get in as a relief, but you don't let in Nolan Ryan 100%? You don't let in Randy Johnson 100%. You don't let in... and
Babe Ruth got 95% of the vote.
You don't let in
people.
Sandy Koufax. So they were... what the people were saying was, in the pitching world, how do you let a relief pitcher in at 100%, but not a starting pitcher? How do you let in Mariano Rivera at 100%, but not Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron and so on and so forth? And my response back to them was, ask the committee. Don't boo Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera deserves to be, he has earned, I should say, I don't like the word deserve. He earned the right to be in 100%. That doesn't mean that Koufax and Ruth and Aaron and Ryan and so on and so forth should not be in at 100%. It just means that whoever was voting in those years brought something personal into it, brought something ridiculous into it, and didn't vote them in. When you look at the names of people that are in the Hall of Fame and they're not 100% voted in, it makes no sense. But it's not Mariano Rivera's fault that didn't happen. Mariano Rivera should be on a list of a bunch of names that were 100% unanimous votes. It just so happens that he's not because people voted with some type of whatever. I have no idea, with some type of disrespect of someone.
But here's the other thing I think
motive. I don't know, but it's not Mariano's fault. He's the only one. He should have been voted in unanimously. All I'm saying is other people should have been unanimous. They weren't. But please get off of this thing where you're mad at Mariano because people voted with some type of agenda.
But here's the other thing, though, and this is the reason why, Mariano Rivera was probably the first one to get in unanimously. You can only vote for 10 players, right? If there's 11 guys on the ballot that you think are Hall of Famers, and one of them is an absolute slam dunk going to get in no matter what, why wouldn't you just leave them off your ballot, save and get the extra spot in for the other guy that you think is a Hall of Famer, because you know the other guy's getting in. You don't have to vote for them because you know they're getting in. Like, I'll use a perfect example. David Wright got 6.2% of the vote, so he stays on the ballot for another year. Let's just say somebody's looking at this, and I'll use Adrian Beltre as the example because everybody thought he was a slam dunk Hall of Famer, right? All right, so let me read off to you what my ballot would have been. And then I'll give you the example, and I'll give you an 11th guy. So Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, Joe Mauer, Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, Carlos Beltran. I would have probably voted for A-Rod because I would have voted for Bonds over the years. Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, David Wright. That's 10. Torrey Hunter could have gotten that extra vote. I would have voted for Torrey Hunter. So why not take Beltre off the list and give Torrey Hunter my vote to keep him on the ballot?
Yeah.
Right? I guarantee you that's what goes through some of these people's minds.
But if enough people do that, then we see issues
true.
when Beltre doesn't
Absolutely,
get it.
but look at how many people actually submit ballots of 10. It's not that many. I guarantee it's less than half. Right? So they're submitting ballots of 7 or 8. But you're going to have a few that have 11 guys that they want to put in, and they can only vote for 10. So take off the guy that you know is going to get in and vote for the other guy. So I mean, I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that's absurd at all. I guarantee that's what happened in the past with Ken Griffey Jr. missed perfection by 3 votes.
It's not
right, in 2016.
It's not absurd. It's the notion of I'm not going to take my trash out because I don't feel like it. And then if everybody else felt the same way, then the whole town is going to stink. So it's one of those things of saying like, okay, I'm not going to vote for Beltran right now because I feel like enough people are going to give him a vote and I want to make sure this guy stays on the ballot. So I'm going to vote for this guy. And then you find out that Beltran didn't get in and you're like, crap, I would have put him in.
Well, people didn't vote for Beltran because of the Astros thing. That's
but I'm using an example.
But yeah, exactly. But it makes sense. I wouldn't be like if I was a voter and I was in that situation. Now, I would have probably only voted for 10. I basically rattled them off: Beltray, Helton, Maurer, Wagner, Jones, Beltran, A-Rod, Utley, Rollins, David Wright. I would have voted for David Wright for multiple reasons. One, because I think he had a very similar career to Chase Utley, just less time. I was looking at their stats side by side. Wright's got a higher OPS plus, OPS, more higher career batting average, higher career OBP, higher slug. Utley's got maybe 200 more hits, something like that. David Wright made more All-Star teams, won more Gold Gloves. I didn't really think about it when he retired, obviously, because he was hurt all the last couple of years of his career, but if Chase Utley's got a case, and he's 28%, so does David Wright. Now, I don't think David Wright's a Hall of Famer. I'm a Mets homer. I want him to be in the Hall of Fame. I really do. But he's got a case. If you're going to put Chase Utley in, why you have to put David Wright in? If neither of them get in, that's fine. But if you're going to vote Chase Utley at 28%, 111 votes, and he and David Wright had very similar careers, and David Wright played in the best media market in the world, I don't get it. What's happening here? I'm so happy he stayed on the ballot, because if he fell off the ballot, I think it would have been a tragedy.
Well, and I've seen guys fall off the ballot in the last couple of years. You wouldn't even believe me when you look at these names. But Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley from the Phillies, they are both on this ballot right now. They're still on the ballot. By the way,
Rollins won an MVP, so Rollins I get.
Yeah. But Rollins got a lot less percentage. He got 57 votes to Utley's 111 this year.
I think Rollins is more a Hall of Famer than Chase Utley is.
So interesting. But we put this in here. I put these in just to see what y'all are thinking. Like I said, follow us on X, the former Twitter, @CallDT. That's CALLDT. I asked you the question, do you like Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell's aggressive nature to go for it on fourth downs and try 2-point conversions over extra points? So far in our voting, 57.1% have said no, I don't like it. 42.9% of you were like, yeah.
I'm about to change those numbers.
And then I will say this. I just put up within the last 2 minutes, should Alex Rodriguez be in the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame? Early voting, 75% yes. 25%
it's 80 now. I just voted
no.
yes.
25% no. So you're saying A-Rod should be in the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame, and you are saying that as of right now, it's getting closer, but that you are leaning toward not liking Dan Campbell's aggressive nature. So I always like putting these polls up because I like seeing where people fall. There's some cool stuff going on. Murph just voted, so he's doing his thing. I got some cool cards I got a bunch of cards I'm bringing to Philadelphia.
Let me break out the handful that I actually have.
And Murph has all my graded. By the way,
you guys want to? I do.
They're
right. They're sitting right here.
If I had the graded cards that you had graded for me at this past show, I probably wouldn't be taking them all to Philadelphia. So,
well, would you have wanted to pay the $15 or $20 it would have cost to ship them to you?
No, I'm saying
probably not.
No, I'm saying that I'm happy and I'm excited that there's a desire for these cards, because I've already had people ask me about it, and I said, hey, if they come back from Philadelphia, they come back from Philly, but I'm trusting them in the tender loving care of one Brendan Murphy. So
they're sitting on my desk, so they're still here. Believe me, I didn't sell those as part of my big deal yesterday.
No,
but
I'm not sad I didn't have them. I just like the fact that people I know to a certain extent, if I come home with anything, that there's going to be a desire for some of these cards that are coming in. But I do have a ton that I'm bringing with me on top of the graded cards. By the way, I'm a little impatient about it because it's the first time I've ever graded cards, and we did really well.
You did very well.
9 number 10s, 3 number 9s. So I want to thank Murph for sending everything out and doing the legwork on this thing. But I'm so happy to actually physically get to touch these cards with my hands. So
and you
show
will.
us what you got.
You will next Saturday when you get down here.
I know, I'm excited.
But so you mentioned earlier in the show that I had a big deal yesterday. So this is my my Zion case that I use with all my cards in it. just gonna hold it up here. It's practically empty now.
Yeah, it's like you see the cards falling forward.
Yeah, this thing was. I kid you not. This was full when I got to the show yesterday. Almost totally full. Right, and now I've got the stuff in this row here.
Yeah.
That was stuff that I kind of left at home, so I didn't bring it with me. But all that's left, this is it. As far as graded and good stuff goes, this is it. So, I mean, I'll show you what's left as I kind of explain the story. So, I get there probably, 8:45. I walk around the show one time, and I'm, talking to some of my friends that I know, and we're just chatting. There was a ton of open tables because there was some weather that it was a little slushy, so a couple people didn't come for their table. So I asked the guy, "Can I get a table?" So he said, "Sure." And this one guy that tends to buy people out a lot because he has a shop says that he follows me back. So I was like, "Okay." He starts to see some of the stuff that I'm putting out on the table. He goes, "What do you think about selling everything?" I said, "Okay." So we chatted for a couple minutes, and I said, "All right, let me put together how much everything is."
Yeah.
Right? On my sticker price. I'm like, let me just find out what my stickers add up to. All right?
Yeah.
I'm like, give me 10, 15 minutes. Let me just literally add everything up.
Was this at the end of the show?
This is at the beginning of the show.
Beginning of the show. Okay.
Beginning of the show. So I'm like, all right, let me figure out how much I have here. And then we can start, and then we can talk numbers. So he said, okay, that's fine. I was like, yeah, give me 10 or 15 minutes. He said, okay. So I add everything up. My sticker prices, now obviously I know I priced my stickers a little bit high, right? My sticker prices came out to just over $10,000. So knowing what I have and obviously if you're going to make a deal like this, you have to know that the numbers are going to start at 50 to 60% of that number, right? So half of that came out till it was like a 5250 or something like that. So when he came back, we're chatting about it. I was like, all right, I know how these things go. Most of these things start at 50, 60%. So I came out with a fairly aggressive offer for him. And at the time, the Adley was in the deal. So this was in the deal, right?
Yeah.
So then he says, okay, what if we took this out? So I had said 5,000 with everything, right? With everything. These two were, Lamar and Wyatt were not in the deal at the time. So he says, okay, what if we took Adley out, put in Lamar and like one or two other cards that I originally kind of wanted to keep? I was like, okay. So then he says 4. So I countered at 45. And basically he said, so Lamar was in the deal. Basically he says, 35?
I miss you, Lamar.
No. But he basically says, 35, takes Lamar out.
Yeah.
I'm like, done. So I did it. There was a bunch of Wyatt Langford stuff in there, but what's crazy about that deal, I kept this one, my purple.
Adley, yeah.
I kept Adley.
Yep.
I kept Lamar.
Lamar.
And my 2 Wyatts and my Jackson Holiday auto getting graded by PSA, I still have them.
Yeah.
So I still have a good amount of stuff. Now, granted, $3,500 in my pocket, I was slightly burning a hole in my pocket.
What? Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll show you a little bit of what I bought yesterday.
So you bought. So you got the 3,500 at the beginning of the show.
I got the 3,500 at the beginning of the show.
And with your with your table barren, you went shopping.
Yeah, I left the table. I grabbed my stuff and went shopping because I'm like, well, I've got no inventory for Philly now, so now I got to go find some stuff. And by the way, I was going to tell you this later in the week, but I figure I'll tell you this now. Don't worry about getting a case from GG. You can borrow one of mine. I'm only going to need one.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want a second one, I'm only going to need the one.
Yeah.
Because I don't. This is all that's going in a case. This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got other stuff that's coming, but it's only going to fit in one.
Murph.
So basically, I'll show you all the stuff that I picked up yesterday. Let me just pull out the stuff that I didn't pick up yesterday. That, and then there's a couple things that I had in a smaller thing that I did not pick up yesterday. Okay. So I started out, I went over to my friend Mike's table. Actually, no, these are the first two cards I got. Because I got rid of a couple Jackson Holidays in the deal.
Yeah.
I picked up a Chrome and a Chrome Refractor Bowman First Jackson Holiday.
You love Jackson
so
Holiday. He's loving him right now.
I'm investing in Jackson Holiday. I think he's going to be good.
I know you are.
So I got those. Then I went over to Mike's table and we talked about a couple different things. So we talked about what did I get from him? Is it something that I'm grading? Hang on.
Every time I hear Jackson Holiday now, I just think of the song Blue Sky Holiday. I can't help myself. I do, because I connect people to music all the time. But I have a Jackson Holiday to show you, Murph, that I picked up from GG Cards and Breaks. Technically, Alex inside of GG's, but you haven't seen the card yet.
Yeah. Okay, so what I got in that one...
I think I have it in here. Oh, yes, I do.
So there's a CJ Stroud that I got in as part of that deal. Okay, so I don't remember if this is the exact deal, but basically, the stuff I got in this one, Brock Purdy Prism, PSA 10, rookie. That card has gained some value since yesterday. This really nice Blue Wave Prism Jalen Hurts rookie, number to 199. Brett Beatty, just a Topps Chrome Black. It was kind of a throw-in as well as this. His son. I made a couple of deals with his son during the day.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. Now I remember. There were 2 PC cards I got that I haven't pulled up yet. Also in that deal, I got this Breece Hall Immaculate RPA. I wish it was a better patch, but it's numbered to 99. It's Breece Hall. You guys know I like Breece Hall. So got the Beatty, and then he threw me 2. I'll just show the other one now, just because it's here.
Yeah.
He threw me 2 Tyrese Maxey numbered cards. I basically said, I'm like, dude, you know I don't like basketball. I don't want these. He's like, just take them to Philly and sell them for 10 or 15 bucks. I'm like, all right, whatever. So anybody going to be in Philly, if you like the Sixers, come take these from me. I really don't want them. If someone offers me $5 for them, I'll probably take it. I just don't want them. So that was that deal. Then I made a deal with a guy I know his name's Sean. You've met him before. He was at the show in Syracuse both times. One of the nicest guys that I've ever met. Picked up these couple rookies here. This is George Kirby, Purple Refractor rookie, number 250 auto, and then Kyle Harrison, Bowman First Refractor, number to 499. $90 for the 2 of those. This lot, with the Breece and everything, I paid $350 for that. These were $90. The Jackson Holiday stuff was $310. You can kind of guess where I'm going with this. So then I made a deal with Mike's son Jake.
Yeah.
And I got. This was the biggest card I picked up of the day. This is a Jalen Hurts Blue Wave Prism Auto. It is not a rookie. It is 2022, but it is numbered to 25, and it is jersey number. It is his jersey number, so it's 2 of 25. This I don't see a problem selling next week.
Yeah.
I'm into this for about 4, and then got a nice little rookie ticket, Devontae Smith. And
who does he play for? Philadelphia.
Eagles. and then a Jalen Hurts Blue Scope PSA 9. So that was a good deal. That was 500, and then he just gave me another maxi in there too. That was the second point that I got the maxis in. I don't like that. And then the last two deals that I made, I got this green prism Jalen Hurts rookie, really, really clean looking. Might grade it if it doesn't sell next week. I think I paid $80 for that.
Yeah.
And then this one, this is probably sneaky my favorite card I picked up. I picked up a couple small, like, Disco Prism Anthony Richardsons. I got 3 of them now that I'm going to grade. So 3 Disco Prism Anthony Richardsons that I'm going to grade. I had one and then traded for, or bought the other 2 for $65 total for the pair. You might like this one because of the player. It is a Bowman Prospect Auto of Bryce Harper.
Oh, I like me Harper. Yeah, I don't have a Bryce Harper
So
auto.
the auto is a little smudged.
Yeah.
So the auto wouldn't grade well, but the card itself looks really, really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I could legitimately see the card doing a 9 or a 10, and in that case I'll make some money on it, but $260 I paid for this.
Yeah, that's
When I heard him say the price, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I looked, and sure enough, they were that cheap. I was shocked.
Yeah.
But I've wanted one of these for a while, and I finally got myself one. So that will get graded at some point. Other card I got. PC card. Really cool. Numbered to 75. Will match my Sauce Gardner one. A blue rookie ticket Garrett Wilson auto. Numbered to 75. PSA 9. So that's a cool one.
Yeah. A lot of great stuff
Cool
from
PC
Murph.
card.
Getting ready for.
So that's basically all I have left.
That's what you got.
Other than Lamar, Adley, and Wyatt. That's it.
Well, I have some things to show as well. I will show them now to you all. So I have not graded these as I got them recently. I have had really awesome box breaks from GG Cards and Breaks. And many of them that I've done. One of my favorite ones that I've done recently here is the Origins box break of the Blaster box, where I got way more than I think what I was supposed to get in the box on average. So he's coming with me. An Origins of Will Levis, whose market I would think is good. I have an Origins of the third pick, Will Anderson Jr., but I have the Origins of the one that you see less of. There's 2 different ones you're going to see of this player. This is the one that is harder to find, and his price is great. A CJ Stroud rookie from Origins. It's coming with me. This you can only
I think that
get...
we should grade too.
Yeah.
If
This
it doesn't
one...
sell.
Yeah, and I was talking to Josh about, I think, that one. This one you can only get if you do the NFL Panini Player of the Day thing at
That's a
GG
nice
Cards and
one.
Breaks, is my Anthony Richardson rookie card, which comes from the Player of the Day. These I got in a trade. I got a Renowned Rookies of Corbin for my Corbin collection, and I got a Prestige. This card brings me back to like the Flair history with the NFL and this and that, and how they used to have the card and then like the person like in front of it and behind themselves. This guy said to me, it's got the Texans logo on the back, it's got the college stuff on the front, and he wanted to trade this, and I said, why the heck not? Because it's CJ Stroud. So I got Stroud here. I really didn't have to give up much of anything for it. So there's that. This one I pulled from my most recent box break, an electrified refractor rookie card of Dalton Kincaid.
That's a good one.
A bomb squad of Josh Downs. These I am definitely excited to bring to the show, plus one of my graded ones. I have this one graded, which is all white, of Pat Mahomes, 10 out of 10, which will be coming to the show. I also have CMC's rookie card as he heads to the championship game. I have another Patty Mahomes rookie card of the NFL draft here, not as in great of shape as my one that's 10 out of 10, but Pat Mahomes rookie card.
Yeah, this one I think we agreed that we shouldn't grade that one.
Yeah. Then I have this one. This is not a rookie card, but this is an awesome multicolored refractor here of Patty Mahomes that I feel like someone will be enticed by the look of this one and probably take it over the weekend. And Puka Nakua, as always.
Puka.
And then I have this beautiful card from Bowman of the man they call Jackson Holiday. This nice refractor.
That's Bowman's best. That's a cool one.
Which is in really good shape, which is why I got it because it was Holiday, and I got it also because of the quality of the card. So, bunch of this stuff coming with me. I got a big old box. I slowly but surely over time here, kind of just like I looked at my box over these last couple weeks and said, sweet mother, we got a big lot. So, plenty of stuff to bring to the show. A lot of graded cards in my nice gallery, and I look forward to seeing y'all out in Philadelphia very, very soon. Murph, let them know about the show.
So it's going to be the Fishtown Card Show. It is going to be next Sunday from...
I think it's 9
just
to
double
3.
check the timing here. I believe it is 9 to 3, right?
Yeah.
9 to 4. 9 to 4.
9 to 4.
The 9 a.m. for early entry. 10 o'clock is when the show's open to everybody. I believe tickets are $5. There's free parking. We will be at tables 119 and 120. That is going to be. Let me get the map up here, and you'll see. I'll send you the map, DT, and I'll let you post it as well, so you can see it. But we will be. So it is it's before you go into like the main room. We're going to be right at the end by one of the doors. So you'll see us right before you go in the doors, and I actually think it's a pretty darn good place to be. So we'll be there Sunday from 10 until 4, 9 until 4. But we're gonna have to wake up early for that one. It's a drive.
Yeah,
we're looking at. Let me double check here. How far? It would help if I can actually type accurately. We're talking an hour and 45-minute drive here.
Yeah.
So it is, and we're going to probably be taking that 95. I think that's 95.
We'll see you at the
we'll be
show.
taking 95 a little bit. Yeah.
Very excited to see you at the show. I'm going down to the Poconos for the first time in a long time. So my return to the no-nos. And excited for the opportunity. Gonna see Murph hanging out this weekend and next Monday when we are in February, believe it or not, my wonderful listeners out there. On Monday, February 5th, I will be broadcasting Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live from Murph's studio for DT
right
and Murphy.
Here.
So for the first time ever, Wake Up Call will broadcast live from Brendan Murphy's studio, and DT and Murphy will be with you next Monday, February 5th from the Poconos. With that being said, Murph, I appreciate it. I appreciate the time and the conversation. I might as well say that the show is 9 to noon because it's pretty much
It's basically 9
every
to
day.
noon every day. So,
So,
yeah.
With that being said, Murph, I appreciate you. So happy for the fact that we get to hang out this weekend. We're going to have some fun. And now Murph gets to show me around town. He gets to bring me to the spots. I don't know where I'm eating. I don't know what I'm doing outside of the show. So I am very excited.
Well, I can tell you one thing. We're not going to eat in Philadelphia. We'll have lunch there, but we'll make sure we get back up north for
I need some type of a
dinner. We'll do
cheesesteak
something
or in the
Sunday
Philly
night.
area. That's all I need. I need some type of
I'm
a
sure
Philly
I'm
cheesesteak.
sure you can get yourself a cheesesteak at the Rivers Casino.
Yeah, I just need to have that. So I'm excited for the opportunity, looking forward to it. Murph gets to play host now. I get to relax in the passenger seat. I almost never get to ride as a passenger in a car unless like my parents and I are going somewhere and they decide to drive. So it's going to be nice to have this opportunity. We look forward.
But you're gonna have to be awake in the morning, though.
I
mean, we're gonna probably we're gonna want to get there before 8. So maybe like 7:45 or so. We're gonna have to leave by 6 a.m.
I'll be awake. So with that being said, Very excited to see you all out in Philadelphia. Cannot wait for this awesome show. Come out and see Murph and I. I'll be posting all the stuff on our social media, on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Got some tricks up my sleeve, and I'll be having some fun. You know to stay close to our social media and to our YouTube channel so that you do not miss a beat. YouTube.com/Wake Up Call DT. For now, for DT and Murphy, Murph, the next time I see you, I'll see you at your place. Thank you as always.
Of course. We'll see you Saturday.
Take care. That coming from Murph here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, even though I laugh because we're 9 to noon. People like Greg, they know. So we're usually here with you for 2.5 to 3 hours. Under promise, over deliver. We appreciate you being here with us. Keep voting in our polls on X at CallDT, the former Twitter. Right now, the polling, should Alex Rodriguez be in the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame? 84.6% of you say yes, 15.4% of you say no. Do you think Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell's aggressive nature to go for it on fourth downs and try 2-point conversions over extra points, do you like that? Are you a fan of it? Do you like Detroit Lion head coach Dan Campbell's aggressive nature of going for it on fourth downs and trying 2-point conversions over extra points? 56.5% say no, 43.5% say yes. So that's a closer poll than the A-Rod one is right now. You could vote in that poll by following us on X, the former Twitter, by going to X and searching for @CallDT. That's CALLDT. Click follow, vote in our polls, and keep in touch with us with everything that we're doing. Speaking of keeping in touch, thank you to everybody that's with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And, of course, once the shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you can hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, wow, let's do this again. Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com. I tried to say the three of those at the same time. Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. You can find Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of those outlets. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure you subscribe, follow, so that you don't miss a show ever again. With that being said, visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York. Our team is strong, our team is good, and our team is filled with wonderful people that go above and beyond. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Catch your Dolphins on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta of Lemoyne and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT. You can also find us in the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We underpromise and overdeliver, so there's been plenty more AD and DT and Dolphin Dive episodes than what we promised you throughout these last few years. We are elated to be the exclusive partner with the Lemoyne College Dolphins, and you can find all of our stuff by going to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe and the notification bell as well, and look for that Lemoyne Dolphins playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find them on WakeUpCallDT.com underneath exclusive partners. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And a congratulations to the men's and women's teams for their incredible starts in their first Division I seasons each in the NEC, to see what they've done. The women's 6-1 in NEC play at the top of the conference, and right in the top couple of the conference. The men's team 4-2 after a 3-game winning streak that they're trying to make 4 as they step forward. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. As always, Fins Up. The Brian Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse bring you the Bobcat Buzz in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Bobcats. You will find the Bobcats men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and more here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, giving them coverage that you've never seen before. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse here with us every single month in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. A big time shout out to the coaching staff, the student athletes, and the amazing administration of Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. You can find them by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell. And of course, search our BSC Syracuse Bobcats playlist on YouTube. You can also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com underneath exclusive partners. The Bobcat Buzz, our spotlight on what Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse is doing all year round. And you can find it exclusively on Wake Up Call. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show today. Big time thanks to Murph, as always, to start off our week with Murph Monday, DT and Murphy. Big time shout out to Ma and Pa's, the snack capital. You need to get over to Ma and Pa's today, try those flavors, and put your vote in. I want to know what you think. I've tried them. Bourbon Kettle, Raspberry Chipotle, Blue Cheese. Go to Ma and Pa's, pick your favorites, put your vote in, and let's see who wins and gets added to that awesome back wall of fantastic flavors at Ma and Pa's. I want your vote to count. Go to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool today. Let them know that DT sent you. Thanks to Murph for all of our conversation. Thanks to GG Cards and Breaks, as always, for being my sports card shop of choice. I hope you have a wonderful day. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, YouTube.com/Wake Up Call DT, WakeUpCallDT.com, and as always, God bless. No stress. Do your best. Have a fantastic and wonderful day. I love starting off my week with you. I look forward to these last few days of January. Spend them wisely, have fun, and be well.